Check, check. 1, 2. Mike Bravo, Venice, California. Six Sun Riders, Four Corner Spirit Run,
That's right, brother.
West
Thank you for
Sider
coming,
Rider.
man. Thanks for being here. I appreciate you showing up and
Yeah.
saying yes to showing up and to bringing your story, bringing your journey. I met you at the Four Corners Spirit Run. I don't even know when. I think it was 2012.
Hmm.
And honestly, it
I met you
changed.
before that, though.
Where did we meet before that?
Well, because we had pre-organizing work that we're doing at the Tongva Springs in West
For
LA
the Spirit
for the
Run?
Spirit Run. We had organizing meetings before that, and that was our main spot because remember we ended there for the run. But I remember we had some kind of little event there related to the run, and you came to check it out
And that
on
that's
behalf of your partner at the time. Yeah, so
that's not the Four Corner Spirit Run, is it?
yeah, well, that no, we were preparing for the Four Corner Spirit Run, and we were there doing some kind of event, you know, um, and then you came to just to check out the scene and kind of see what was going on.
Yeah, dude, that
Yeah,
place is beautiful
yeah,
and it's a hidden gem here
yeah,
in LA.
yeah.
Not a lot of people know about it. It's in Uni High.
Uni High, yeah.
In what is that, Brentwood area?
That's West LA Sotel.
Oh, Sawtell, West
Yeah,
LA area.
yeah.
Yeah, yeah. And what is that place again?
It's a Sacred Springs area. It's basically one of the sacred. I mean, I guess all land is sacred, but like one more sacred villages of the Tongva slash Quiche slash Gabrielino people.
And there's an actual spring.
They're actual springs right now. They're kind of like the. There was like a spring more on the north side of the like a mini waterfall in front of on the north side of the campus, which they plugged that up politics, because LAUSD and stuff like that, and then
Wait, what do you mean? They plugged it up?
they plugged up. There's like a small waterfall. I don't know if you ever saw that one.
I did see it, which was it in the
No, because
campus?
no, the area that I remember you were in, we had like this where the spring was coming up
That's
from,
beautiful,
from the
dude.
ground,
And
like
the
a
way
pool.
the way they like designed it with flowers.
Yeah,
during
and the little
ceremony.
lagoon right
The
there.
little lagoon. Yeah.
Yeah, but up more, if there's like a little pathway that goes back up to school, and there's like a little waterfall, but they
Yeah.
plugged it up because of some issue with some construction piping with the gas station a few blocks up, and again, LAUSD hasn't really been the best steward of
Yeah.
the space. I mean, a lot of the stuff that has been maintained there has been because of people fighting for the space.
And I don't know too much about natural springs, but that's the first spring I hear about here in LA.
No, it is. I mean, it pumps like 55,000 gallons of water a day or something like that.
That is a trip, dude.
Yeah, right there in the middle of a uni high.
And there's also like a little museum there.
Yeah, like a little community center, but it's like it's like a makeshift museum in there as well.
It's like information center.
Yeah, and the interesting thing about that too is that's where Santa Monica got its name. So technically, the neighborhood is West LA,
Okay.
and Santa Monica is West LA. Sotel is a neighborhood under Los Angeles City, right? So Santa Monica is its own city,
Right.
and but that's how Santa Monica got its name because when the conquistadors came, they likened it to the Tears of Santa Monica. I don't know the legend of Santa Monica, but something about tears and water and nourishment or something like that. So when they came, they were thirsty, and there's a village there and all those abundant springs, and that's how they named it Santa Monica. Which is funny because like that neighborhood, like technically that's Sotel neighborhood, hood wise, and they don't get
Right.
along with Santa Monica. So it's kind of just it's interesting, just the irony of I say history and the origins and how
Yeah.
all that disconnect that we have as people sometimes.
Yeah. Yeah. And so I met you there,
Mhm.
and then I feel like my first memory is over in Playa. Is that the first stop where we're doing?
Yeah,
for
we
the
started. Yeah, well,
the Four Corner Spirit Run.
yeah, off of Lincoln and
Jefferson.
Jefferson.
Yeah, that
Yeah.
I remember that. Like that is stamped in my head.
Yeah,
My life changed after that.
Yeah.
When it comes to like spirituality.
yeah,
and
that's the
ceremony.
southwest corner. Yeah,
Yeah, yeah.
and I
Okay,
know there's a
so
lagoon right there and all
before
that.
we
Yeah.
talk about that spot,
Okay.
before we talk about that
Yeah, for
spot,
sure.
tell me about the Four Corner Spirit and like how did that come about? And
Okay, so originally it was called the Sacred Run of the Four Directions. So I used to be with this organization. I won't say their name because they don't deserve their name to be said. But I was over in East LA, learned a lot of good things. A lot of the structure and the information was solid. It's just the leadership wasn't, they lacked a lot of integrity. Anyway, so we did this county-wide run called the Sacred Run, the Four Directions, where basically we started a run like we did with the Four Corners run, and we started from each direction. So I was in charge of the west, starting from Santa Monica, Venice area, um,
Okay.
and then in north they started in Northridge, and in the south they started in what's it, Cal State Long Beach. They call Pavungna, that sacred site, and then the east they started in somewhere in Pomona, and we all traversed the neighborhood, hit different spots, and made it back to Parque de Mexico over in I think it's not El Sereno, it's somewhere in East LA.
Okay.
Yeah, that
And
area too.
these are all
So
like indigenous communities.
yeah, so well, I mean, ultimately, all Chicano communities are indigenous,
Yeah.
whether conscious or not. So it was a way to kind of work with the local, people of the area. So the Tongva/Quiche people, and I guess if you go to Pomona, there's different people out there, and then in the north you have Tatavim as well. But primarily the main people of the LA basin are the Tongva/Quiche folks. So we I went to acknowledge different sacred sites of the local people, as well as hit significant community spots. So let's say like there's a certain park where it's there's a lot of history there with Chicano history,
Yeah.
or or a significant place where maybe someone was a youth was recently fallen youth or whatever, gang violence or whatever. We'll go and stop there and do a prayer. That was
Okay.
originally like um, the original template for it. You know what I mean? So that was just, we did that once a year, but like I said, LA County wise, and we ran all the way down to Parque de Mexico and I guess East LA area.
All right. So
So
that's like what inspired the Four Corners Spirit
yeah,
Run.
what happened was I left that organization back in we started our first run. I think it was 2004, and I think we were probably one of the first people on the West Coast to actually do the run. If people even still do it, but as far as neighborhood spiritual runs, indigenous led, anyways.
Right.
But I had left that organization in 2000 and late 2009, and okay, in late 2009, and so in 2010 I didn't do the run again because it was they were harboring a child molester, sexual predator. So
I kind of heard about that
yeah,
recent
yeah,
news. I think this year
yeah.
or
We just got
last
him locked up
year's.
just maybe about like in June. I want to say just like maybe like 2 months ago, 3 months ago. Just fairly recent, we
That
got him
was
locked up, but it's been a long process to bring that dude to
what's this
justice.
guy's name?
Pastel,
Pastel.
Pastel Mireles from Danza Guatemoc.
Yeah, this dude was a community leader in the
Yeah, for a long time he was
indigenous.
real big. Even before I got into the mix, like in 2000, 2001, he was already kind of like a known, the issues were already kind of known too. But as far as like a leader status, which is
Yeah.
one of the reasons he was able to evade accountability, was because of his status and the power that he built within the community and people who didn't want that challenge.
And
But
he got found guilty for child molestation.
yeah, yeah, we just it took a long time to bring him to justice, but we got him locked up.
I kind of
So
remember when I first came into that circle, I hadn't heard about that yet. I don't
yeah,
feel like it was out there yet. And then maybe a year or two after, the victim started speaking up
yeah.
on
Well,
social media,
they started speaking. I mean,
as far as what I'm aware of.
yeah. Well, there's been like different seasons when they spoke up. Originally, a lot of this happened. Has a lot of victims, but a lot of like the main victims, they came and helped get them convicted. Their issues happened like in the early '90s, like '95 around that time, and so it's been going on for a long time. And they this before social media and all that, and
Right.
they only had so much that was accomplished. Not really much, obviously, because he wasn't reprimanded and he was still doing his thing in the neighborhoods.
Right.
And so that's when I left. I left on that issue, and I had kind of
Mm.
resurrected the uh, exposing him again. I wrote emails to a lot of different people, native communities, and I just challenged people, put people on blast. And this is the right when like kind of like MySpace. It's kind of like when MySpace was around, but it's when like everybody kind of started migrating towards Facebook. This is like '09, I want to say, yeah. And so that was, and ever since that time, it helped kind of put it back in the issue back in the limelight. And then from there, it's been a community process, and holding people accountable and putting people on blast, on internet, social media. So, but we finally got him locked up. So I'm one of the OG, how I say, internet blasters as far as accountability goes.
You know what? That's good, man.
Mm.
We need people that do that because what that man was doing is fucked up.
Yeah.
And it's fucked up because it took years and years and years, and these victims had to reshare their experience and retell their stories, and then sometimes they weren't believed,
Yeah.
so that's really fucked up. But you know what, fuck that. Good
Yeah.
thing that they got that guy and that he was held accountable.
Yeah. And it was hard. It was a hard fight too, because even like at some point, like when we were at the height of uh let's say about 5 years ago or so, at the height of really kind of putting pressure on him, we had like a lot of different people in the community, in this community, strong men, strong women, at least, 2 dozen or whatever, more or less, like challenging them. And even all those 24 of us or whatever, like we had a hard time because we were getting threats. So you can imagine 4 young women or 5 young women, at the time of night three, but even still, any kind of woman, you know, not having that right support network, you know, challenging, a powerful leader,
Yeah, and
for
this guy was
bullshit,
still being
you know,
glorified,
yeah,
and he had a big
yeah,
backing, and people didn't believe.
yeah,
He had a huge backing. So I
yeah.
remember,
He still does. They're so stubborn, but yeah, they're
I
not as,
remember shortly after
yeah.
there being him having like security people
Oh
wearing
yeah.
like red shirts or something like that.
So okay, so that's the organization I used to be from,
Yeah, yeah,
but
like
that's
they were
before
kind
I
of
knew
like
about, yeah, what was going on. So
they're kind of like protecting him or
they're called the
whatever.
Harmony Keepers. So for anybody out there, don't fuck with them.
Okay. All right, so we don't fuck with them. This dude he's been found guilty.
Yeah.
Okay, so good. Justice has been
Yeah,
served. That's
he's
good.
like, I think he has 20 years. He's basically gonna die in there, pretty much. So,
Mm. And
but
he was considered an elder. I mean, when
yeah,
I saw him, he was an older man.
yeah,
He was an
yeah.
older man that fucked up, fucking sick in the head, and it sucks because I've heard about this happen in a lot of different,
Well, I mean, at the Catholic Church, it's the same thing.
yeah, a lot of spiritual places
Yeah,
where you are confining
yeah,
like your spirituality,
yeah,
your children, you know, your lives into these people, and they take that advantage of that
yeah,
and do actually one of the most horrible things you can do,
yeah,
which is take advantage of innocent people that are weaker than you.
yeah,
So that fuck that.
yeah. The
That's really
trust
fucked
too
up.
and stuff like that. Because even when I was with that group, the Harmony Keepers, not to go into them too much too, but
Yeah.
like just a lot of like they just use people as fodder, basically to protect this man or whatever. Which I was part of that too. But once I woke up, I was like, oh shit, But
Right.
and
Right.
it
So
got to the
let's
point where people were like, there's a lot, especially when it comes to native teachings, we're so removed from them that we try to, when we get like any ounce of knowledge or whatever, like our spirits are kind of freed and lifted up and we get inspired. And I'm saying you got these
yeah.
people who abuse that relationship, you know what I mean? And then what happens,
Right.
what I saw happen in retrospect was these people who, once they realized the truth or were turned off by things that were going on,
Yeah.
they got turned off from the teaching. So like it happened to me too after I left that group, like where anything dealing with indigenous teachings or any words, whatever, it would trigger like this kind of like an aversion to like I know well, no, I know a lot of people who went and turned like hardcore Christian after they were trying to learn their native ways. So it's like you're kind of already doing the work for the colonizer, really. You know what I'm saying? Like,
Mm.
and but even after I left that organization, I was like, dude, like I didn't want to hear like Meshikatawi. I didn't want to hear like no Nawat. I didn't want to hear, I was like, just it reminded me of those people and like just re-triggering all those. Cause I put trust in all these people, like people I call brother or whatever. And yeah, and people who taught me good things. So I really had a hard time kind of separating the teachings from the teacher type of thing. And so,
Yeah, because those teachings, they kind of activate something in us. They,
yeah,
they they remind us of our ancestry. They remind us of what's our blood, what's in
of
our
our true self.
DNA, of our true self, of our the ceremonies,
Yeah,
the drums,
yeah,
the danzas,
yeah,
and all that. But, however, I gotta tell you that although all that happened and that's how you felt, you didn't stop.
yeah,
You kept going.
yeah,
You figured something else out, which is how I met you, the
yeah,
Four Corners
yeah,
Spirit Run. So what
yeah.
was up with that? How
Oh
did
my
you
bad.
guys
Yeah.
come
So
up with
yeah,
that? No, you're good. You're
yeah.
good.
So right after that happened, so like I took like I didn't do it. We didn't do the run. Like I said, we started the run originally 2014, I want to say, and then 2000 we did 2009, and then 2010. I was kind of like in the middle of all that drama, or whatever, coming out of that exodus, so to speak, and so the whole first 20 2010, I didn't do anything. I was just kind of like and just trying to just recollect myself, and so but later on, it's like people are like, hey, we need this run, because they really people in the community were like, hey, like, or we can do the run again, youth or whatever. People were just really excited to do the run, and it's like, okay, we'll do it again, but we'll just keep it West Side, West Side for us is Santa Monica, Culver City,
Sawtell.
Venice Hotel
Yeah.
area, basically. And so what they call the four corners of the West Side. And so I was like, okay, let's do it, but let's figure out another name too, right? And so it's brainstorm with some friends and Four Corners. For those who don't know, like people assume when you say Four Corners, they think of like Colorado, Utah, Arizona, New Mexico, which they call the Four Corners of creation. For like the Hopi. A lot of our native origin stories go back to that Four Corners area. So, but the way we use it over here in the West Side with these neighborhoods, it was like a term of unity that was brought to help bring peace to a lot of the gang violence between the four neighborhoods out here.
Which was those four?
Yeah, so Santa Monica, Venice, and Culver City, and so um, that way we kept the same structure, same purpose of the run, but let's rename it specific to our side, which is Four Corners Spirit Run. So
Yeah. I remember you guys talking about and having elders, having OGs there
mm.
talking about
Oh yeah,
it's not worth
yeah,
this whole gang violence stuff.
yeah,
And I know in the 90s here in the West LA area, those were the dominant. And
yeah.
dude, they're like 10 minutes away from each other or less. So the violence
Oh
was
yeah,
constant
oh yeah.
from
No,
what I know.
yeah, because a lot of times, and that's the thing too. Like people don't really associate neighborhoods or black and brown barrios and neighborhoods with. I mean, they don't associate black and brown folks with hoods out here in the West Side. They think it's all palm trees and whatever yuppies or whatever, which
Mm.
has always been a lot of white folks. There's been a lot of black and brown folks and Asian folks too. But yeah, no, it was, the '80s obviously was probably like I think was more crazy. It was crazy in terms of the raw violence, but once the '90s came, that's when like the crack hit the street. No, crack hit 8th Street, A3, but the guns start kind of getting accumulated like the high power guns. Before people had rifles and little, you know, smaller guns or whatever, but that's when the crack came, the bigger guns came in, and by like '90s it was just like too much pressure in the cooker, and that's when things just started kind of going crazy.
Yeah,
I mean,
yeah.
crazier. Yeah,
Yeah, and I remember you guys talking about that during the run
yeah,
at the stops, and I specifically remember that opening ceremony. That
yeah,
opening ceremony, dude. I'm telling you, it's ingrained into my brain.
yeah.
Just
Remind me
elders
because I don't
showing.
because I've been through. Obviously, we've had 9 of them already, so I'm trying to figure out
I
like who.
think it was 2012. Okay,
Uh,
it's before sunrise,
uh,
right?
yeah, yeah. It's like at 5 a.m.
It's like at 5 a.m. and people are just kind of showing
Sunrise
up,
ceremony. Yeah,
gathering, and the way you and the other organizers were leading the people was very mindful to me. Like everybody's like, okay, like no phones and just be respectful and just let's get in the line, and the way the leadership was,
yeah.
I don't know, I guess
This
moving the ceremony,
right,
and then the sage and the feathers and the mindfulness, and
right.
like, all right, we're gonna be stopping in this spot, and then when we leave we gotta make sure we clean up, we don't leave anything behind, and if you see somebody doing wrong, like just correct
Yeah,
them and don't get offended if you're being corrected, especially if it's coming from an elder,
right.
things like that I have stuck into my head ever
Yeah,
since. And I don't remember where these ladies were from, but you had some elders coming, I believe from the land, right?
yeah. Because we always have like you know, the local people of the area. Mostly, most of them call themselves Tongva. Some call themselves
Tongva,
Quiche. But
Quiche.
but most of them call themselves Tongva, or Gabrielino is another name they use. But most of them use the word Tongva. But yeah, we always try like I say like one of the essence of being a colonizer is you go into another area and you assert yourself without respecting the local people. So even though like we're Chicano Indians, Mexican Indians, Central American Indians, what have you, like we're still on, we're not the caretakers of this LA basin area. It's the
Yeah,
Tongva. You know what I mean? So
and not even a mile away from there, more west, there is a Tongva sign and even like a little teepee, right?
or like a
Behind
yeah,
those,
but that's the quiche is called like like a dome teepee thing, yeah.
yeah,
But
behind
actually that
those
site too. But
restaurants,
where we're at, that's a burial ground that we were at.
right? Which they built complexes
Yeah,
and a whole
yeah,
little city over
yeah,
there with like Whole
yeah,
Foods and a
mm,
theater and all that. But
yeah,
from what I
crazy.
remember, people were kind of fighting that for a long time. Whereas like this is a burial site,
Yeah, so
and
they end up
even
preserving some of that space, you know.
the wetlands where you guys where we would meet,
Yeah,
they were trying to do some stuff there, and it's like, wait a
they're always
second.
trying. Developers, they don't know, they don't have any limits or
If people don't know about what we're talking about, it's the wetlands off Jefferson and
Lincoln
Lincoln,
right below LMU.
right below LMU, right by the Home Depot, and it's one of the last spots
Yeah,
anywhere here in LA where it's a wetland,
yeah,
where it's nature.
yeah,
There's nothing else.
yeah,
It's literally one of the last spots
yeah.
anywhere around here.
Which you wouldn't know because even like that whole area, like Mar Vista, what they call Del Rey. To me, it was all just Culver City, but technically Del Rey
Mm-hmm.
neighborhood, Venice. Like if you look at the land, especially you see a lot more in Del Rey area. Like the streets are very bumpy and because it's really kind of swampland, really originally. You know what I mean?
It is, and it's still swampy there. I
Yeah,
mean, you drive by there at night, you hear all the frogs.
yeah,
You pass there in the daytime, and if it's like the season where the ducks are there,
yeah.
there's a bunch of
Oh
ducks.
yeah.
A lot of different birds
Like
actually
when you're
stop
going
by
on the
there.
90 going west and you kind of get off on that little off of Culver Boulevard right there. That's all. Like one clue that you'll see too is like say in Venice, like off of Penmore Park across the street, there's that golf course, right? That's like it's all very mound. That's natural land. They just kind of just obviously grassed it up and kind of shaped it a little bit. But overall, that's like the original swampy land of the area, which is
Yeah.
also why they built the canals there too, because it was easy to just to like
Um,
move the sledge and get people to dig, and the water was already kind of coming in and all that. So
yeah, those canals are pretty dope.
yeah,
There's nothing else like that around here
yeah. But the
either.
funny thing is too, those canals are those considered like the budget canals. Because you got to remember the whole like downtown, like the Windward Circle in Venice, like by the Venice sign, that whole area, like those were the main canal areas as far as the homes and whatever else. But the ones that people know now as like the Venice canals, that was were considered like the little like not the ghetto canals, but in a sense like oh, it's like the budget,
The low
the budget
budget
canals,
ones.
yeah,
I see. I see. But yeah, man, those wetlands. I know they wanted to build like a center there, a visitor center. I don't know if that's still going through, but I think that land is so important, man, and
yeah,
not just for the community, but also for nature. There's a lot of
oh yeah,
animals there. There's bunnies
oh
there,
yeah,
and I think there's
bunch of beautiful hawks. I mean, they're
hawks.
just
Yeah.
the great blue herons over there too.
Mm-hmm.
It's just like it's one of like my peace spots, which I haven't been to for a minute, so I need to go back and make a visit.
Yeah, definitely. Me too. I drive by there almost frequently, but yeah, I gotta stop by there, take my daughter, check all that out. Um, but yeah, so that's the spot where we started.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm gonna let you take it away. I just kind of painted the picture of
Oh
like
no, for sure. Yeah.
us meeting there, but like the intention. Like, tell me more about that intention and that prayer and that
Yeah.
just community, like that
Yeah. It would.
mindfulness
Yeah.
of
So at that point, if it was 2012, that was already our. That would have been like our sixth or seventh one. Probably our sixth one, maybe. So at that point, I was like a little more like seasoned. Cause I'm always learning. You know what I mean? Like, no matter how much I do, like we're always students. You know what I mean? So, but like going back to how we asked about the Tongva elder that was there too, we always try and make sure that we're um centering and elevating the local people. You know what I'm saying? It's one thing like because in our culture things are always mostly white centered, right? So it's like even as Chicano people who are we're very abundant in population over here, like we can sometimes overwhelm the local native population too. So when we're doing things like our Mexica events,
Mm.
even though it's indigenous, we have to make sure that we're centering the local people. Otherwise, we're kind of just low key perpetuating the same kind of system of like kind of just overwhelming and not lifting up the local indigenous
yeah, you guys are
folks.
paying respect.
Yeah, so I mean, like, and that's how we do. We know indigenous nation building, and so but start off, yeah, it's like just to make sure because it's all about it's a prayer, like, and it's sometimes people say prayer in a very kind of flat, empty way, but like in a real way, like we have medicine, we know about these songs, we know the area that we're in, we know the power of the ancestors, we have experience and like, you know, how you say spiritual protocols and knowing the power of these teachings and the sage or the songs or whatever, knowing that we have these staffs with the bird medicines on there and we run like we know what we're doing. I say we know the potential of the power that we're carrying here. So we can, so it's important to make it clear that to the people to respect these medicines and take it in a real way. 'Cause sometimes it's one of the other reasons for the run too is like to put our traditions back in our hands literally. 'Cause a lot of times you get people who want to learn about themselves and Mexica, Aztec, and Maya, and etc. But it's like it's one thing to learn things in the book, something to practice your
Hmm.
religion, or so to speak, or your spirituality or your culture in an active, real way. Like people have no problem. Oh yeah, you want to study Mayan? Oh yeah, sure. But when you start to really assert yourself as an indigenous person doing indigenous activities, especially on the west side, very kind of highly colonized, triple gentrified area, whatever. Like it's a even more of a powerful statement, just on a political level. There's different, I guess realms or aspects to it too. But like,
Yeah,
but
there's so
going,
much at play. At
yeah. So when we have these prayers, whatever, we're going to different neighborhoods, who've like Chicano neighborhoods, native sacred sites, and to like just connect with that, and for people to really kind of just understand that they matter, that their prayer matters, and just take that medicine, as we say, with our prayers and our song and our steps, and the feathers, and all the accumulative prayers and energy that we have in those staffs, and take it to the neighborhoods that have normally been in conflict.
so tell me a little for people that might not know about these staffs. What is this staff you're talking about with feathers? What is that? And I know a lot of them come with a lot of prayer and come from a lot of
Yeah,
runs and from a
yeah,
lot of different places. They're not just let's just make a staff here. Like
yeah.
what is the
So
staff?
so this one, like the ones we had for this run, for the Four Corners run, we made those staffs,
Okay,
but there's like certain protocol, and way to go about it,
so the staff is like a stick,
yeah. So basically, it's a wooden staff,
wooden staff.
and it's the way they came about. It's like we I say we center prayer in everything that we do. So doing a lot of sweat lodge or whatever, just trying to really kind of speak with our heart before our mind,
Mm.
and put the prayers like, hey, I need these sticks. We need to do this run, because the run that we were doing with the other group from 2014 to 2009 or whatever, like, even though we had the same staff every year, like they kept it because that was that organization. And at the same time, I don't want to deal with that
Yeah,
mess anyway. So we had to create our new ones. So just prayed on find some nice good sticks, you know what I mean? Like, that they'll present themselves in a certain way. This is the
sure.
way how I was taught and how I went about doing it. And then like, just kind of, kept my spiritual eyes and ears open, so to speak. And then, we found some sticks at the Tongva Springs. And then, just kind of, talk with people, and like the elder, like, hey, like, oh yeah, Miguel, those look cool.
Yeah,
Like, so,
yeah.
and then talk with some my other folks at the time who, more spiritually kind of experienced in different areas, because some of us have a little more experience and, I guess, expertise, if you will, in certain areas, and
And then
yeah,
you decorate the
but
staffs with feathers.
yeah, yeah. So I had my good friends help me out, and wrap it around with certain color ribbon and threads. And then we have medicine words, like gifted some eagle feathers, hawk feathers, or what have you. Um,
And
Mostly
this
eagle.
is all very intentional.
Yeah,
A
yeah,
lot of
yeah. And when we
prayer, a
do
lot
it,
of
like,
ceremony.
we have a specific time that we're doing this. Certain people that are there. Um, you know, you
And it's
come
like
you
you
come
guys
in a good
yeah.
way. We pray before we do it. We're saging down, or whatever the medicines, copal or whatever, before and after. We're making sure everybody who's there, they understand how to handle the feathers. How one, obviously how to do it, tie them up and all that. But everybody's coming a good way. Did you drink alcohol today or yesterday? Whatever. Boom, like, not boom. You're
Oh
like,
yeah, I remember that
yeah,
being a thing too.
yeah,
You guys mentioning saying like don't drink or consume any drugs.
yeah. I think like 3 or 4 days, but
Three or
4 days
4 days before the
before, yeah,
ceremony, before the
or
run,
after.
or after.
Yeah, just the way to kind of respect the medicine. 'Cause a lot of times when we do these ceremonies, it's especially something strong as the spirit run is, and the sacrifice of the physical output that we put out. It's really critical to give that mess and that ceremony it's time. Like right now we have the space, we're talking, whatever. So it's like I'm not gonna sit and conversate with four other people at the same time. So it's kind of a similar thing. Like, this is our space to talk and commune or whatever, and that's the same thing with that ceremony. You don't, and then just given a lot of the adverse, personalities that a lot of the alcohol or the weed might have in relation to trying to heal yourself. There's not to say that you can't, use herb to heal or whatever, but like I said, just respecting the ceremony. That's just the protocol, and that's just the way it is.
Yeah, yeah. And I remember it being wrapped around, and I believe whoever's running,
Yeah. So and
that
so yeah, yeah.
leading with
So
the staff.
yeah. So I went into kind of how we kind of create the staffs, and
Right.
we tie them up too. And we always keep them wrapped up, when we're not using them, and they stay horizontal, because we don't just pick them up just to pick them up. Like, there's a very kind of, like, it's like you're carrying a baby pretty much.
I remember it being treated like
Yeah,
that
yeah,
for sure.
yeah, exactly.
Very sacred.
Yeah, very sacred. And so like like even right now they're at my house wrapped up in red. I haven't every once in a while like I'll pick them up and kind of just sage them down, talk to them or whatever, but they're always kept in a good way. Um, and so because it's the way I was taught from other people who've done different spiritual runs, like the Peace and Dignity run, people who've done that, they share with me that if you hold the staffs upwards, that means like they're ready to run and they're gonna take you and they're gonna like and some people have had the experience too where they grab the staff when they were running, they're like boom, like I didn't have no energy, I grabbed the staff, boom, and they're just like boom. I know I was on one of the runs too because normally I run for a little bit, but I remember one time I ran and I was just like, you know I was taking off and people were getting mad at me. I'm like, Joke, I need to slow down, because I was just
You're not
so
even
fit.
thinking about it.
Yeah,
You're
because
just
you just feeling
going.
that medicine, you feeling that good energy,
Right.
But anyway, so yes, when we do the run, the staffs always lead the run. No one can go no one can go past the staffs, and of course the people who start with the staff have to end with it. So even though there's increments that we do the run in, it's like what 12 miles altogether. I think maybe 10 to 12 miles, but we do in increments. Like 3 mile increments. Different neighborhoods more or less.
Right, right. I
Yeah,
remember. I think the first stop we ended up in Culver City after that,
yeah.
and
The
again, like
projects right there.
the projects. Yeah,
Yeah,
hydrate.
yeah,
Get some maybe some food in
yeah. Little
you,
snack or whatever,
little
depending.
snack.
Yeah,
Yeah, and also circle up,
circle up.
prayer,
Yeah,
intention.
yeah,
Let the elders speak.
yeah,
Making sure the elders are taken care of. Making sure the children are taken care of.
yeah.
I remember all that stuff, and then canciones. With
Yeah,
the
yeah, the
drums and all
songs,
that.
the medicine, all that too. Bring that prayer and
All the
bring that.
medicine,
Yeah,
the sage, the
the
copal.
songs, our footsteps, our intention. And to have the focus is always real key too. Like, be mindful of the distractions.
Be
Because
mindful of the
because it is a
distractions.
ceremony too. Like, it's and one things that we're taught too is that like the coyote trickster spirit always when you're in the process of doing something very positive for yourself or healing for yourself, you get like these trickster spirits that come up and try to distract you from that ceremony. So it can come in any form. So like in the instance of let's say the run, it could take a form where like, okay, like you're getting distracted in thoughts, that happens, right? But like something can come up, some dude can roll by and say something like stupid, and you'd be like, oh, you get mad at this person because they said some really some foul shit, right? And so, but it takes you off your prayer. The focus is your prayer, so you gotta keep on going, So that's one way that coyote, that trickster, throws you off your prayer, off your intention. So it's always about just keeping that prayer and that vision, and all the way till the end.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Totally. I remember that. Being focused, staying in prayer,
Yeah,
staying in prayer,
yeah,
and then yeah, that trickster comes up.
yeah. And then like if people had earphones too, and like it's like no, like no earphones, no earphones, and because we're there to pray, we're not there just to just jog.
Right.
Because sometimes one of the things we try to do is kind of like get people who just like little track and field or students or whatever, but like try but like I said, try to get people into understanding the indigenous ways and the respect that comes with that.
Yeah.
Because they're not taught anything at all really in schools or about any kind of discipline or respect for like spiritual stuff, especially their own spiritual stuff.
Yeah. Spiritual elders, spiritual leaders,
Yeah,
guiding them
yeah, or
through
even
this
themselves too. Really,
process.
respecting themselves
Hmm.
as a spiritual being and kind of respecting their process of what they're going to go through as they go through this run. It's more about because you're going to feel it. Everybody's going to be challenged in some form or another. Even people are just walking or people are just running up. We have people who kind of had their cars and they kind of just met us at different spots. But even if you're a part of the ceremony in any kind of capacity, like you're going to get challenged in some form or fashion. So like I want to make sure people understand that like you're going in and you're going to be challenged in some small or big way. You know what I mean? But you have to just kind of have the spiritual eyes and ears to kind of just acknowledge it, because we all need to get through this together. And
It's a muscle. It's a
yeah,
muscle that
yeah,
you need to exercise. And if there's prayer and there's community,
yeah.
it's a lot. It's a lot more easier. Not easier, but it's a
Well, that's the thing
guide.
too. A lot of it's about unity and balance. There's so many teachings in the run. I can't go into it
There
all, but
is,
like,
yeah. And I remember we ended up in Venice after,
yeah,
right after the projects in Culver City. We
yeah.
ended up in a park in Venice,
Oakwood
and
Park.
one of the craziest things that I remember hearing, I don't know who said it. Yeah, I don't remember who said it, but I remember them being like, look around in the park." When I grew up, it was full of brown and black people.
Yeah.
Look around the park. There's no more brown and black people.
Yeah.
I remember that being a big thing, and
Yeah.
then like the community has changed a lot
Yeah.
in Venice, and all the West Side, pretty
Yeah,
much. Um, Again, we end up in Venice. Canciones, medicine, mindfulness, and I believe people are able to share some word, right?
yeah. So usually when we circled up, I mean, it's changed and evolved over the years that we've done it. You know, as we've gotten more numbers there, we had to kind of cut down on the speaking times at each spot because it all adds
Mm-hmm.
up, and we have to finish by a certain time more or less.
Right.
But yeah, so usually when we circle up, usually for the most part, it's okay. We get there. It takes a while for all the runners to get there. We circle up. We pull the sage out the mess in because obviously we're picking up a lot as we run through these streets because we're kind of cleansing the streets at the same time. So we got to take care of ourselves and our energy. So the sage and whatever mess in, and then the rough tempo is that we get there, we circle up, we sage down, everybody gets there, everybody circles up, and then um, there's no like one particular order. We sage down, and then I kind of say words, kind of just checking up with people, with
Yeah,
folks, see how
checking in.
everybody's doing or whatever, and then we start, either someone speaks first. We get some people to speak, like 3 or 4 people. Usually, we try to get at least one elder to speak, one runner to speak, um, and anybody else wants to say anything.
And is that park significant to anything?
Which park? I mean, we did
The
at
one
every
in
park more or less, but
Venice, but the one in Venice was it? Because I okay, so Culver City, it's Culver City,
yeah,
and it's the projects.
yeah,
That park in Venice, yeah, it's Venice,
yeah, yeah. It's the middle of the hood.
and
Basically, all these spots that we go to, we're in the middle of the hood.
we're in the middle of the hood there in
Yeah.
Venice.
So whether it's Santa Monica,
Yeah, we
even
ended up in Santa Monica, right?
yeah. So after I think that year, because a lot of times we've had 2 stops in Santa Monica,
And there's a fairly new park in Santa
the
Monica,
Tongva Park.
the Tungva Park.
Yeah, across from their city hall.
That's pretty big.
Yeah, yeah,
That's dope that
yeah.
they
We
named it
stopped
that.
there. Our last run, we stopped there, but that was like in we haven't done it for about 5, 6 years now, maybe. But
Yeah.
but yeah, from there, Oakwood Park, we went to. I want to say we went to the Pico Youth and Family Center.
Oh yeah. Yeah,
Um,
we did go there. And there's
yeah,
like a
the small youth center off of Lincoln and Pico,
you guys have
and
like a music studio there,
yeah,
right?
yeah,
Yeah, for the community,
yeah,
for the
yeah,
youth. That's pretty dope.
yeah, and then I think from there we went to Virginia Park.
Virginia Park. Yeah,
Yeah,
I
which is
still remember that.
right up the block too, like half a mile up from the PYFC. And the reason we stopped by the so there were 2 stops in Santa Monica, but the reason we went to PYFC is because it's probably, to me, in my opinion, they're a lot different now because of low funding now, but like at that time and before, they've always been the most cutting edge youth center on the west side as far as really challenging, speaking truth to power, challenging white supremacy, getting the community active on some real stuff, not just to be kind of, they're not about charity, they're about activism, and educating and empowering the youth. And so and they were one of the reasons, they were one of the, how I say, the pillars that helped support me in creating the run, even from when I started with the other organization, because there was no space to really kind of organize from, not really in Venice or whatever, at least none that I felt I was vibing with anyway. So anyway, so
Right.
then from there I went to Virginia Park, which is normally back in the day, that's where like their hood would hang out, Virginia Park on Pico and Cloverfield.
Mm-hmm.
And then from there we ran through West LA down to Stoner Park, and then because that's where the Sotel, that was like their park,
In the Stoner Park.
yeah,
Okay.
Stoner Park. And then from there we went to the Tongva Springs, which is like 6 blocks away from there.
Not too far, yeah.
Yeah.
At the uni.
But we
hall.
want to make sure we hit all the hood spots, the main hood, community centers, the community spaces first.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Dude, that's dope.
yeah.
That
And
is
you make me dig because I haven't really like thought about it in depth. So thank you for that.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, I feel like it's very important, and I hope it comes back up again. We need those kind of ceremonies. But tell me a little bit more too about peace and dignity runs. Did you participate in that?
I wasn't a part of any of those peace and dignity runs, but
But you know about it.
oh yeah, I know about
Okay,
it,
a
and
little bit that I know.
yeah,
Let me tell you a little
yeah,
bit I know. Alaska, Chile, or Peru.
Chile,
There's runners
yeah,
with staffs, a caravan
yeah,
with prayer, and it's every 4 years,
every 4 years.
and they kind of they go until they meet up somewhere. I don't know. I
Yeah.
don't remember where they
Well,
meet
if
up.
I'm not mistaken, originally I think they ran from Alaska all the way to Chile, and then it's changed over the years. So then, like,
Okay, I see.
I think, and then at some point they ran from Alaska again in Chile or whatever, and then they met like in Maya or Mexico somewhere, Teotihuacan or something like that too. But now there's the last one that happened, the last couple I know that there's a lot more kind of tributary routes. How they say where it got more wind and notoriety. So like you get runners from like let's say it still starts mainly Alaska and Chile, but then you get let's say people from the East Coast coming to do their run. They have their little route, and then they meet up somewhere in the middle, and then they find a way to kind of eventually get all people all routes to come the same, similar to how we did with the first run I did with the other
What a
organization.
run, man! What a
Yeah,
organized
that's
community effort.
yeah. So instead of like a city side run, this is I, I
Continental.
won't say multi. It's a hemispherical run
It's
because it's North and
yeah,
South America. You know what I mean? So that's I can't even imagine like
yeah. I mean, we're talking about
organizing.
from Alaska and Chile,
Yeah,
all of that,
yeah,
and prayer,
yeah,
intention, and I believe the one that I didn't run, but I helped organize some stuff. Not organize, but just help. I
yeah,
was just there to help. I believe the intention was water
yeah,
that year.
yeah.
It might have been 2012.
That yeah, I think that was the same year because I think yeah. Wait,
It could
2012.
it could have been the same year. Yeah.
Hold on, 2012, 20. I want to say yeah, 2012, 2013. Yeah, because that's why and the thing with that, and then that's a infer anything, but like it for a long time, like the first X amount of runs that we had, we didn't really have a lot of participation from the Peace and Dignity folks in LA. You know, even though we're trying to get them involved, they didn't really, whatever. For that reason, they didn't really support us in that those endeavors. But anyway, but once we're established, at least the Four Corners run is, and people know the work that we're doing, and so that was the year they're running for the water, and that's why
Yeah.
because of the springs, the water sacredness, special water ceremonies, etc.
Yeah.
So that's the reason why there's a real big piece of dignity because I think theirs was happening the same year. It happened to coincide,
Yeah.
and so a lot of them were around for that run,
Yeah.
for our run as well,
I remember them talking
in preparation
about.
for the bigger peace and dignity run. Yeah,
I remember them talking about a vision that some elder had about some snake or something like that, an
Mhm.
oil snake or something like. I wish I remember the stories that they were saying, but
Yeah,
that it was so important to pray for water
oh
because
yeah,
water was being threatened by corporate,
yeah,
by
still is. Yeah,
exactly,
oh
it
yeah,
still is, and they were ahead of the game.
oh yeah,
They were ahead of the game before this whole like water is life um
yeah,
saying was being said.
yeah,
The indigenous people were already like, all right, we need to pray for water because they're gonna start coming for water. They
yeah,
don't care. They just
yeah.
greedy. They
And
just
then
want.
and this all like it's all kind of like I won't say standard indigenous knowledge, but if you're around and you kind of study, you know that there's like you hear things like that where there's what's being targeted, what's becoming more scarce, and what the I say what the devil's coming for next, so to speak.
And
You know,
they were also carrying water from
oh yeah,
different springs,
yeah,
right? From different
for
parts of.
different yeah, like they had like little vessels, whatever. So when they and I think if I'm not mistaken, once they got to their final location, they would uh pull that water in that one spot or something like
Yes,
that.
I
Yeah.
totally remember that
Yeah.
with
I mean,
prayer.
obviously we weren't there for that, but like, but that's what their intention was to do.
Man,
It's deep stuff, bro.
it
Especially
is.
because my thing is like, you had a taste of the Four Corners run. This is, not saying it's because it's small that it's, not as great or whatever, because
It's
spirit is
very
spirit
important for the
and
local community
divine is
as well.
divine, what I mean?
That's right.
And so, but like the small scale, you can imagine just the spirit and energy and the medicine that we accumulated and what we were able to manifest with that Four Corners run. You can imagine a continental run. You know what I mean?
The logistical
I mean, just as far as
organization,
like the medicine and
the medicine.
and the energy that goes behind it too, like the blessings that come with that, dude. Like,
Yeah,
the gifts for your sacrifice. Dude, like I can't even like. I'm like, wow, dude. Like
yeah, yeah. And then
I've done like 10 runs already, so I'm like, okay, yeah, I might have like a little cumulative effect. I can fathom it. You know what I mean? But not like in one shot. As far as like a 3 month, 4 month hemispherical run. That's
dude,
that's where
exactly.
yeah,
Yeah, and then also the elders come out.
yeah,
Like they're not the one. They're not running, obviously,
yeah,
but they come out
yeah,
and then they shared their stories and their messages, and
yeah,
that's something I always respected and really admired from these gatherings, regardless of the organization that put it together. They would make sure that the elders were the first ones to speak
yeah,
and share their messages, and the youth needs to hear
yeah,
elders and wisdom speak, especially when it's spiritual or indigenous, you
Yeah.
know, conversation,
Yeah.
because a lot of us, okay, specifically me, like I didn't grow up with that. I didn't grow up with that. I don't
With
have
what? With like with
with any type of indigenous
oh, okay, got you. Yeah. Well,
information.
it's not that you knew of anyway.
Yeah,
Yeah.
not that I knew of it. Yeah,
Yeah.
I didn't have any connections. I didn't have any elders talking to me about ceremony, medicine, mindfulness.
Mm.
Um, and so we need that. We still need that.
Yeah.
Like we were talking about earlier, representation.
Yeah.
You know, and so that's why I feel like these runs and these organizations are very important
Yeah.
for the
Definitely.
community, um, more than ever now.
Yeah.
More than ever
Yeah.
now, because the world is really changing a lot, and
Very fast, and there's just so much. I mean, it's always I say the uh the trickster spirits out there are always active, but it seems like it's really right at a point where it's like it's the veils are being lifted.
the veils are being lifted.
You know what I mean? And people's comfort zones are being challenged, and there's a lot of I would say there's a lot more spiritual and psychological power moves and um being had. Whether it's local level or national level or world level. Too. So we have to be important to know your roots. Important to have a spiritual root, or at least root is something that's spiritual and real and has its roots.
I mean, specifically for me, growing up, the history books,
Yeah.
they told you one side of the story. They didn't tell you the full story. And
Yeah.
not just that. I grew up, my parents are El Salvadorian.
Hmm.
So I grew up, oh, I'm from El Salvador.
Yeah.
No, it gets deeper than that.
Yeah.
I'm not just from El Salvador.
Yeah.
Like if you look at my skin color and you look at my DNA, it's deeper than El Salvador. El Salvador is
Yeah.
what has come out of it.
Yeah.
But reality is that was all indigenous there, all indigenous area. And the reality is
Still
too,
is.
some people don't like to hear this, but I'm also European.
Yeah.
I have super European blood.
Yeah.
Look at me. Look at my last name.
Yeah.
And so learning these things growing up was a little confusing when I was 18, 19.
Yeah.
It's like, what are my roots? I don't know my roots. Like,
Yeah.
I
Oh, you're
can't-
Hispanic or Latino. It kind of just
Hispanic, Latino.
Yeah.
But what about the indigenous part,
Yeah.
right? And then when you hear Latino and Hispanic, you only think of those Central and South American countries. But Latino is a European thing.
Yeah. It's a European label.
It's Latin. It's Latin America. Like,
Yeah.
So very confusing because they don't teach you, or there's no information.
It doesn't because it doesn't serve. It doesn't serve your mental subjugation as an indigenous person.
Right.
You know what I mean? It's all about, like I said, that's what we talk about when we say white supremacy. It's not just neo Nazis. This is like, maintain the centricity of Europeans, whether they're Iberian Europeans, aka Latinos, or, British or whatever, too. So it's like they want to keep you Latin. They want to keep you thinking you're related to Antonio Iglesias, or was it your Enrique Iglesias or whatever.
And that's where it stops.
Yeah,
Like, don't look anymore further back.
Yeah, and you could be brown, that's cool, but you can identify with our values and our thing,
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, I remember growing up having those thoughts of like, wait, what am I? What's my roots? And I didn't grow up religious either.
Yeah.
So that was another big question mark for me, where I was like, well, some of my friends are Catholic, some of my friends are Christian,
Yeah.
some of my friends are Jewish, some here and there might be Muslim, and
Yeah.
growing up, it was a big ass question mark of like, well, spiritually, what am I?
Yeah.
And then if you look at religion, they play a lot on fear. So for me, it was, wait, is this Jesus person? Like, if I don't believe in them, am I really gonna go to hell?
Yeah.
Right? Because if I don't say certain prayers, or if I don't
Yeah.
do certain rituals, am I really is my soul not gonna be saved?
But he loves you.
Exactly.
That's like
And so-
that's like just like gas. I mean, just that whole narrative of that fake Jesus. I will say, that fake Jesus narrative. That's just such a manipulative.
which I think Jesus was a yogi. If
Yeah.
you ask me,
Yeah.
Jesus was around. He was a yogi.
Yeah.
Right? All this other stuff is human made.
Yeah.
All this like fear, hell stuff is all human made. I don't remember reading anything because I looked into religion a lot because
Yeah.
I didn't grow up religious. I look into Buddhism, Christianity, Hare Krishna.
Yeah.
I looked into all these things,
Yeah.
exploring, being like, well, where is the truth, you know?
Yeah.
And kind of realizing like they all have their own truths, and whatever works for you, it's cool, you know? If it takes you to the light,
Yeah.
that's cool. And if you actually practice being a good human on a daily basis, and that's your religion, that's cool,
Yeah.
you know? That's fine. But once you start holding up signs that repent or go to hell, like that's scary,
Yeah.
dude. Like, what the fuck?
Because
Like,
it's
you know
so
what I mean?
funny. Because even the contradiction of that, I won't get too much in that too. But just like even like by Jesus standards of what we know, like even the washed Jesus version, it's like the simple saying like, "What would Jesus do?" Like, okay, just the little that I've know. Like he wouldn't be out there, yelling at women who want to get an abortion or whatever, or whatever. You might talk to them or try to console them or whatever, but he
Hey,
won't be
but
like,
Jesus was a G.
yeah,
Didn't he go to those people at the, I don't know where the heck
yeah,
he went, but he like knocked down their table and shit.
yeah, yeah,
Like he didn't take shit either.
yeah, yeah. And they don't emphasize that Jesus. They emphasize the Jesus that turned the other cheek or whatever, or they gave Caesar what belonged to Caesar. They didn't, not the Jesus who you know overturned tables and debauchery in his church in his spiritual center or whatever. You know what I
I
mean?
don't know too much about that stuff, but what I think is that he was a yogi. And I know growing up was very confusing, not knowing my roots,
Hmm.
not growing up religious. You know, eventually I came into some type of spirituality of being like, well, meditation is important. Prayer is important. You know, whatever figure you imagine, that's cool, dude.
Yeah,
Whatever,
yeah,
whatever works for you, that's
yeah,
fine.
yeah.
You know, and if other people want to pressure you into something, like that's messed up, because I know a lot of religions do that, where like they want to keep you in a box, and that's fine. If that's what works for people,
Yeah.
that's cool. But for me, that I didn't grow up with that kind of
But
structure.
I think a lot of us didn't. I mean, as far as like a lot of brown people, Mexican, Central American, whatever, like we're not, for the most part, we're not really taught that. You know what I mean? Like we don't really know who we are.
And a lot of people were rebellious too, because I know I also had friends that did grow up Catholic,
Yeah.
that as soon as they got out of high school, they're like, nah, because we're also in a time where we question everything,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
The internet's available.
Too much
All
information available. Yeah.
yeah, the textbooks are available. We started questioning like, wait, nah, I'm not gonna follow that,
Yeah.
you know. And we're in a just generation where we're changing everything. Some
Yeah.
things for the best, and some things not so
Yeah.
much for the
Yeah.
best.
Yeah.
But we're questioning things. Yeah, I totally remember having friends there like, nah, like they were they had to do certain things, and then they felt like to,
Yeah.
you know. My journey was like, nah, I didn't grow up with any of that.
Yeah.
And specifically what I was trying to get
Cause
to,
what did you grow up like Catholic or?
nothing.
Oh, nothing, nothing. Oh, okay.
So a little backstory.
Yeah, cause most Salvadorans I know they don't really
I mean,
like
I have
like most Mexicans that I know like we're kind of Catholic, but a lot of Salvadorans I
very
know like they're not really raised like they're Christian, but they're not
exactly
Catholic, which is interesting. I never knew what
Christian.
I
Yes.
never knew
No,
like the background on that, but
you're
yeah, I thought it was
exactly
interesting.
right on point with that. My parents were Christian when they were young,
Yeah,
both of them, not Catholic, Christian, and it didn't work for them.
yeah,
My dad, he passed away 2 years ago, but my dad, dude, my dad was my hero, dude. My dad kept it real. My dad, when I was a kid, would be like, the news. I'm telling you, this was 20 years ago, more than 20 years ago. He would be like, the news only believe 20% of it. 80% of it all is a lie. This was my dad when I was
yeah,
a kid. This
yeah,
is what he was teaching me. He was keeping it real with me. And then when it came to religion, he said when he got here, he thought, you know, they're going to help you. You're struggling, they're going to help you. But he didn't have that experience with them.
yeah.
They actually screwed him over. And because he didn't follow them religiously,
Oh yeah,
they titled him names and shunned him, and, you know, going to hell, you're the devil,
yeah,
shit
yeah,
like that. um, but I feel like when people speak the truth and other people aren't used to hearing certain truths, it
yeah,
shatters. You're trying to shatter something that's been
yeah.
deeply, deeply ingrained in,
Ingrained, probably even generations
again,
sometimes for some people.
generations. Generations. Again, I'm cool with whatever people believe. That's fine if that's what works for them. If
Yeah,
that's what takes them to the light, if that's what makes them good people. Um, I know personally people that the church has helped them so
Yeah.
much. And if it wasn't for the church, whatever church it was,
Yeah.
or whatever prayer to whatever God, if it wasn't for those
Yeah.
things, they would be in a really bad place and
Yeah.
depression. And so, like, that's why I say whatever works, cool.
Yeah. Because
I'm
even like
cool with
sometimes
that.
I think about those like those victory outreach dudes. You know what I
What
mean?
is that?
Like it's like a Christian type of like network. Like they're massive, but they kind of think they originated like for getting people out of prison, like chaplains or whatever. Like what's it called? Those chaplains, those spiritual people go into the prisons and they do that work with the to try steer prison inmates into spiritual life.
Okay. Yeah,
Obviously
yeah,
most of
yeah.
them are Christians, but like
I know what you're talking
but
about.
like so they're like I most know them from being like Chicano, but they're like they get like the nuttiest like Chicano dudes from prison, like turn them into these Christians, which a lot of time is cool. It's like okay, they're out of jail, they're not doing crazy ass shit no more.
And that
But their ideology
changes.
is like like I don't know about that ideology. That doesn't make no sense to me. But if you want to believe, someone lives in the well for a week, that's cool, bro. Like,
But that changes
you know,
their mentality.
yeah.
And instead of going
It's not, it's
seven,
not it's not as bad
yeah,
because a lot of them end up, being very pro America, you know, uh,
okay,
pro Trump type people. You know what I mean?
interesting. I'm not too
And
familiar with
not to go
that.
into that, but I said like they're not hurting nobody. Like cool, like that they're safer. They're not. They found some kind of peace in some form or fashion and
That's what's
more
important.
stability. Like, cool.
That's what's
Yeah.
important to me.
Just keep your Bible out
Um,
of my house and I'm cool. Nah.
but what's also important, yeah, but exactly
Yeah.
what is also important to me is that you keep it real
Yeah.
to yourself,
Yeah.
whatever real is to you. And for me and my family, what real was that it didn't work out for us.
Yeah.
If anything, we got screwed. My parents felt screwed over.
Yeah.
So when my friends were having quinceañeras or some like type of like baptism or
Mm.
communion, for the longest they didn't let me attend.
Uh,
They didn't let me go see them at the church because that's how bad they felt about the church,
about the Catholic Church, right?
about the
Yeah.
Catholic
No, I don't blame
Church,
because yeah.
and the Christian church.
Yeah.
They didn't care. They didn't care what church. They were just like, nah. Those people, when you need them, they don't help you. But when they want something,
Yeah.
they ask and they ask.
Because one thing I
That was
realized,
just their experience
yeah.
with it. And
No, I
so,
believe no that you're probably better off for it, honestly. Because I was raised, excuse me, I was like raised Catholic, of course, but I went to Catholic school all my life. From first grade all the way to eighth grade, and then most of high school too.
out here in West LA,
St. Clements Elementary until they closed, and then I went to St. Gerard in Culver City, and then I went to St. Monica's High School. Till my
Okay.
last year, they didn't let me back.
okay.
They thought I was a gang leader.
I
Anyways, but
mean,
point being, so like, but going back to what you're saying about the baptisms and
Yeah.
the quintas, like, even now I have a big family, fifth generation out here, so I obviously have a big family. But when we have quintas or baptism, like I could appreciate if it was just like a ceremony just for goodness, whatever. But a lot of times I noticed the bulk of of the the mass or whatever, it was just like this way to hook you into their Jesus. You know what I'm saying? It's more about believing Jesus and submitting to Jesus as whatever, the great whatever too. But like it wasn't about like I'm looking like it's not about my niece. It's not about whatever. It's like they're not
mm,
I thought this was about her coming of age. This really
right.
this like 9% of the verbiage and intent was trying to get people to like not even propose it, just submit to this, you know, rigid paradigm of whatever their Jesus,
Yeah.
was. I'm like, dude, like you're not even respecting my. I'm thinking in my head is. I mean, I'm like,
And not in a bad way,
but
but
that's all a lot of churches are. I think they want to just get you to subscribe.
Right.
If you don't, they don't care about you, and then when you do, like, you just don't fuck it up. Like it's not. They're not really.
right.
They're
And
there
then
for
if
the
you fuck
subscription.
it up,
Yeah.
there comes a judgment.
Yeah.
The people that tell you to forgive are the
Yeah.
biggest people that judge you the most. And not to like, not in a bad way, but I have sort of a rebellious type of personality. So when it comes to trying to keep me in a box, I'm just like, no
Yeah.
box, please. Like because that's the way I was raised.
Yeah.
That's how my dad raised me. Don't trust the news.
Yeah.
Question everything.
Yeah.
He kept it real. We talk about UFOs.
Oh shit.
Yeah, we would talk about UFOs. We would talk about politics. Like we're just chilling in the room, just talking about all these topics. So when it comes to boxes,
Yeah.
I'm not rolling in those boxes. I feel it's funny because I feel like I need to reiterate that whatever works for people, bro.
Yeah.
That's what's important.
Yeah.
If that works for you, I know. And also, actually, I remember going to, because I was rebellious with my parents too.
Yeah.
I remember going eventually to these not the baptisms, communions or the confirmations.
Pie confirmation, maybe.
Confirmations, yeah.
Yeah.
I remember going, and hey, some of these priests were spitting some game.
Oh yeah,
They
no.
were saying
Oh
some
yeah.
real stuff that applies. That's why I respect
Yeah. No, because if
whatever
you go
works
like,
for
there's all
people.
you can always post something good. You know, it's and, like you take the good, leave the bad. And I mean, some people, some churches or priests that might have more bathwater than others, but you just, don't throw the baby away. There's always something
Yeah,
wisdom because originally you figured a lot of those the biblical text or whatever, those are a lot of it's very original, legit stuff. It's just a matter of how it's being manipulated. Like any tool can be used for good or for bad. You know what I'm saying? I can have a knife, I could use it to carve and make you like a nice little gift or whatever. Or I can stick you with it. You know what I mean? It's a matter of how you use these teachings or whatever. Like just like I said, going back to what we were saying, like some people use it to manipulate people and for power or whatever else too. So it's a matter of how you use it and what your intention is.
Jesus was a homie. Jesus was a yo. But if we take it a little deeper too, these religions for our people were pushed upon our
Yeah,
people, the indigenous people.
yeah,
These things were the Crusades and
yeah. Identity
the
was pushed on
the
us.
missions. That's why all through
Religion, the calendar. Those are the three main things pushing us.
the
The
calendar, yeah,
calendar, the our names. You know, Miguel Bravo.
Carlos
Yeah. These aren't native names.
they're not native names. They're
Yeah,
European names.
yeah,
They're European names.
yeah.
And if you look through all of California, Santa, Saint,
Oh yeah,
it was all Catholic.
yeah, yep,
Missions all over
yeah,
California. Missions all
yep,
over California. And if you dig deeper into that,
yeah.
a lot of fucked up shit happened.
Oh yeah,
And even now, some fucked up shit is happening.
yeah,
You know?
yeah,
And
yeah,
I'm not trying to offend anybody, but
yeah,
if you look deeper,
yeah. I mean,
fucked up
that's why
shit
history's important
happens.
too.
Yeah.
It's just really important.
Which is I look into shit. I looked into shit. I said, oh shit.
And
Because
yeah,
I remember going to Bible study too.
yeah.
And I'm telling you, like, there's good
Me too.
stuff.
Because when I was like, because I said we're raised Catholic, right? But I remember like I'm 47 now. I was like maybe like at the time maybe like 10 years old or something like that. So when I was living in Inglewood, like you get a lot of Jehovah Witnesses would come over and try market themselves whatever. My mom used to be Jehovah Witness way back, but she wasn't anymore. She wasn't really anything. She didn't claim anything. But so I guess they asked my mom if they can come over and teach us whatever. She's like, oh cool. She's all yeah. She's all but under the premise that she wanted us to explore and make decisions for ourselves.
That's good.
You know what I mean?
That's
So
what's up.
and so like they came over like a couple times, maybe 2 or 3 times, and I want to say about 3 times I remember. And this is when I finally knew they were full of shit.
Hmm.
Because at the time I was like I said maybe like 9 or 10 or something like that, and I was really into Transformers cartoon and
Okay.
whatever. And then like they talk, they get these books, all these they're kind of spooky now, like oh this is heaven, and that like the people eating the berries and in paradise and petting
Oh.
petting that the
Like
books.
the pamphlets.
Yeah, the pen, but they had like those thicker books
The
too, where
thicker
it's the
books.
same artwork, where it's like they're petting lions and all
Okay.
that bullshit. you know. Anyways, then I was like, I'm all. And I asked them all, are there any Transformers in heaven? And they were stumped, but they didn't know what to say. They're like, oh,
Yeah.
because there's two guys, and they're like, oh, like they're all like mumbling, like they couldn't figure out what to say. They're like, oh, well,
They didn't want to
I
lie
don't
to
know.
you.
I guess you could probably find someone who can make Transformers. I'm like, dude, you don't make Transformers.
No.
Dude.
Transformers are
Anybody
their
can
own
carve me out a
beings.
Transformer, bro. Like I'm thinking in my head, like, dude, like,
Yeah,
man,
Transformers are alien beings.
there's no
That's what I
Transformers in
think.
heaven, dog. Fuck you guys.
Yeah,
You
yeah.
guys, you guys ain't representing the fucking Most High.
Have you seen the
The
meme
Most
of
High, the Most High has Transformers in heaven, bro. I'll tell you that right now.
yeah, for sure.
Right?
Yeah, yeah. They're beings too.
Yeah.
They're not robots. They're
right?
they're
The
from a
robot
different
spirits
planet.
or whatever.
Yeah,
You know what
yeah,
I'm saying?
yeah.
Like too. So like that's why I knew they're full shit. Okay, no,
Have you seen that meme?
that's not heaven, dog. I got heaven right here to fight my Transformers.
There's a meme of two Jehovah Witness people and then two youngsters, right? They're in the same they're playing Uno, I think, or a card game.
Oh, yeah.
And it says if they win, we become Jehovah Witness.
This is a real
But
scenario?
no, it's like a meme.
Oh,
It's
okay,
like,
got you,
but
got you.
if
Okay.
we win, they have to get drunk with us tonight. Oh man,
Yeah.
good stuff, man. Like,
But the interesting thing to kind of like, kind of go back to the indigenous stuff is
Yeah.
like a lot just it just made me think of it right now too, but a lot of times like these I said these kind of like European colonized set paradigms for like how we go about religion, spirituality, what have you. Like a lot of times people try to I say like impose that type of way onto the indigenous stuff too. You know what I
What do you
mean?
mean? What do you mean?
Like for instance, like kind of like kind of like with the that dude we are talking about earlier. You know what I'm saying? How like where like this kind of hierarchical,
Mm,
non-circular type of way of
yeah.
doing it. Like, okay, I'm the teacher and whatever, and like obviously, the elder, you're gonna respect the elder, whatever, too. But like where it's just the same kind of hierarchical, patriarchal type of center. You know what I mean? As
Right.
far as how they're doing things and who has the palabra or whatever. You know what I mean? So like just things like that. It's just interesting, which a lot of times leads to some of these issues in our community happening.
Right. Because there's too much power and then not enough questioning of that
Yeah.
power.
Yeah.
Man. All right. Yeah. Whatever works for people, man. Whatever works for people, that's cool with me. We just all have different experiences,
Yeah.
and I think one of the most important things is informing yourself, right? And we all process
Yeah.
information differently. So let's say we're all learning one subject, we're all gonna walk away understanding it different,
Yeah.
based on our perspective and I guess maybe translation in our brain of how we receive this information.
Yeah.
But informing yourself, knowledge is power.
Yeah.
Get some knowledge, and also most importantly, have compassion for people.
Yeah.
You know, compassion is what's important. Being a good person, forgiveness.
Hmm.
These are the things that are really important, and these are the things that,
Yeah.
whether it's indigenous spirituality or Hare Krishna,
Hmm.
Buddhism,
Right.
Christianity, whatever it is, these are the main things that they teach, and
Right.
that's what's really important because our time here on earth is very short, man.
Yeah,
It
that's what.
feels
Yeah.
long, but it's short, man. Whatever beef you have with people, either let it go, forgive them in your brain, your mind,
Yeah.
if you guys can mend it together,
Yeah.
right? And
Keep your
hope,
distance. Yeah.
and yeah, and hope and pray that they're doing the same thing too for you, right?
Yeah.
Because we're only here for a short time,
Yeah.
and once you're gone, that beef is nothing, and sometimes we live our life with grudges or resentment,
Yeah.
and I feel like resentment and grudges is one of the worst poisons
Oh
you could
yeah.
have in your
Oh yeah.
heart and your mind.
Definitely.
And so, yeah, because then you pass that on along to the next generations
Yeah.
and things like that. So whatever beef you might have out there with
Which is
people.
hard because a lot of times, like there's a lot of people out there they're just really sleepwalking, so to speak, and
Oh, and
do yeah,
they'll sneak
so
attack every once in a while.
yeah, a
Yeah,
lot of conscious or unconscious vampires out there, and
yeah, and there's a
people out there
spiritual
just
warfare,
yeah,
right? But if again, if you have knowledge, if you have a strong spiritual practice, I'm not saying nobody's perfect. You make mistakes. We
yeah.
all make mistakes. Nobody's perfect, and not every like. Have you heard of Jordan Peterson?
I don't think I
This
have.
is a Canadian professor that
No.
has recently have become very popular for men because one of the main things he teaches is clean your room, clean up your room. Like if you want to get somewhere in your life, start by cleaning your room. And the whole idea of it is start with the basics. Like if you can't even take care of the basics, then how are you going to take care of the more difficult things in your life, right?
Yeah,
That's one of his messages. Like he has a 21 rules of life, and
I'm gonna look into that. I don't
you
know.
should look into him. He studies like philosophers, Nietzsche, and thinking, the
Yeah,
way you think. I think
yeah.
he's a psychologist. I'm not too sure, but he's a professor from some
Okay.
university over there in Canada and has recently become very popular here in the States. Um, I forgot what I was going to tell you about him, but I'm totally blanking out. I think I was going to tell you that um, I don't know. I don't remember. But one of the things he teaches is like your inner monster. He talks about, okay, we all have an inner monster, and it's better to have an inner monster in control than not have a monster at
Yeah,
all, because typically it's the most cowardice people that will do the most fucked up shit and stab you in the
yeah,
back because they're cowards.
yeah,
They won't face you. They'll do that shit behind your
yeah, yeah,
back.
yeah, yeah.
But if you have your monster under control, you might have more
The
dignity.
shadow or the parasite. And Toteka Yo, it's called the parasite, I think.
Okay.
Yeah.
The shadow. You're more in
Y-
tune with your shadow.
Yeah. It's
Yeah.
about balance, because we're all light and dark beings. I mean, everything emanates from the darkness anyway. You know what I mean?
Right. Right. And if you can understand that, work on those things, worry about yourself, have compassion, again,
Hmm.
forgiveness. Those are what's important because I'm telling you, this life is short, dude.
Yeah.
This life is short. And then you look back and like, wait, what did I do with my life?
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
And we have to break generational traumas and generational curses
Yeah.
already, dude.
It what's
Especially for our people.
yeah. Which is hard. It's it's which is even harder for us. I think I want to say because like most white folks they know their history for the most part. You know what I mean? Like we don't know like how you were saying earlier. Use an example. Like you didn't know who you were.
There's no paperwork.
Yeah. Just you don't know who you are. Like
We just know
culturally,
our grandparents, and then it stops.
historically. Like you know what I mean. So it's like if you don't know, like if you don't know where you come from, your historical context, it's like how you really gonna like know what needs to get healed. Like there's a lot of things. I think what happens a lot of times like we have this inner rage or this inner inclination to do certain things to get to that healing that we need as individuals or collective communities. But a lot of times if we don't even know if we can't like I say like if you can't acknowledge what you are, how are you gonna know what medicine to go get for your situation? Like, oh, like I'm suffering from, I don't know my history. I need to learn history. Oh, I'm suffering because of all the, the religious trauma from Christianity, blah, blah, blah. Like, I mean, if you don't know who you are, or what you've been through, to some extent, you're not gonna really know what you need to heal from or how to kind of counterbalance whatever you've been fed or poisoned with.
Yeah.
So that first is always the first step is always acknowledgement. If you don't know who you are, like you can't, like if you don't know your dog, then how are you gonna know that you need a dog biscuit? you know,
And healing is a
you
lifelong
know,
journey. Healing is a lifelong journey.
yeah,
There's no, oh, I've made it. No, healing is a lifelong journey,
yeah,
man. No matter what age you are, there's still something you're processing. There's still something you're letting go of. There's
yeah,
still something um, that randomly pops up,
yeah,
right? You're like, oh, I thought I was over this. I'm not over this.
yeah,
Wait, this is still in my brain. This is still in my
yeah,
subconscious. This
yeah,
is still what they call in the shadow part of my brain,
yeah.
still haunting me, keeping me up
It
at
always finds a way to show itself. It's always there. It's just you can repress it all you want, but there's certain things that need to be held. They're always gonna find a way to pop up.
yeah, yeah. This human life is complex, man.
Yeah,
It's super complex. The human brain is complex.
yeah.
I mean, just
Especially when we're not raised with the tools to really acknowledge or understand it.
especially, yeah, because then what do we try to rely on?
Yeah.
Entertainment,
A
distraction,
distraction, drinking,
drugs,
drugs.
drinking. That's another big problem within our community.
Yeah,
I mean, yo, if you need to have a drink here and there, cool.
yeah,
But from what I know, within our community, alcoholism is a big issue,
yeah,
big issue, and also in the indigenous community
yeah,
too, where
yeah.
it's like detrimental. You
Well,
can't do
but then a
anything
lot of it
else.
goes back to like we're talking to like the colonialism and the need to escape from they can't be who they are spiritually, creatively, or what otherwise, and a lot of times systematically too we are the ones kind of how I say the sacrificial lambs of this society's success, whether it's United States or Canada or Central America, Mexico, or whatever, And so a lot of times we're the ones at the bottom of the barrel, so to speak, and so of course we're gonna get caught in, you know,
Mexico's crazy, dude.
yeah,
Mexico is a whole different world, man. There's so much going on over
ah,
there.
dude, yeah,
There's so much going on in Mexico
yeah.
on a daily basis.
I just heard they just wanted that the U.S. put a ban on the avocados because of what's going on with the avocados.
What is going on with
I
avocados?
don't know the full story, but my general understanding is that I don't know. I could be wrong on some of this, but what I
I'm pretty
bas-
I'm, I'm pretty sure
basically understand is that
wrong about a
the
lot of things I
cartels
just said.
have like taken over like avocado farmers crops or whatever, or like
Okay.
took over the program, whatever, too, because like it's a cash crop, one of the major cash crops of Mexico, and so I guess they're running the show, and obviously they're the cartel, so they're not really the most ethical program system out there. So like America's probably one of the biggest, like consumers of Mexican avocados. So it's like, but there's like shit going on that's pretty serious where it's like, okay, people are making it issues. So
I didn't know about
yeah,
this.
I think that's the base issue from what I understand.
Yeah.
I don't know the particulars, but
Yeah.
it's crazy. I was like, dude, like just avocado farmers, like, dude.
Yeah. When I you watch the news very much?
No, I don't have a TV.
Yeah, I don't have a
I just
TV
watched,
either.
I just try to read the news on, you know, online or
And now you can't really get away from the news because it's on
yeah,
social media. You hear it on the radio.
yeah.
You walk somewhere and somebody tells you, "Did you hear about this? Did you hear about that?"
I
So
find most of my news from Twitter lately now. I've been more frequently on Twitter.
Yeah.
You get a lot more kind of in depth on the ground. Obviously, you're gonna filter for bullshit, but like for the most part, if you have a a decent thinking mind, you can sift through the bullshit. But there's a lot of good stuff on Twitter.
Man, when I look into the world and the news, sometimes it's a little intimidating, a little scary because
Well,
it's
I mean that's what it's meant to be. You know what I mean? Like it's meant to be. I mean, as far as that's what kind of in general, I think the news like they're kind of meant to be like ministers of fear and confusion, emotional energy extraction.
emotional energy extraction.
Because you know
Yeah.
too, like a lot of times they're always provoking some kind of emotion. Either you feel real happy, oh my god, look at the cute, little bunnies on the View show or whatever too, or like it's something about some kind of like dramatic political issue, or the going back to the COVID stuff too, like the excessive fear mongering too, because like one of the teachings I was that I learned um, is that there's like people said like there's gods or whatever, but there are spirits out there, whatever, but there's spirits feed off certain things, whether it's like good smoke or whatever. But like obviously, if if you feed good, like good heart medicine, like songs, whatever, like it feeds like the spirits of beauty and healing and what have you too. But like if you there's certain spirits that they feed off of people's emotional vibration energy. So like of like fear, um, anger, envy. It creates a certain emotional energy within you and a certain vibration.
Yeah, you think
So
it and then your body
this goes
vibrates it.
back and yeah, so there's spirits that feel for that too. So a lot of it are these, what you probably would call like these secret societies or whatever when they do their certain like they create events like World Trade Center, for instance, or whatever, or like mass manufacturing of the negative emotional energy that these let's just say evil energies or spirit entities need. So if you get all the masses on the news, boom, they're all in fear, boom, you're feeding those deities. You know what I mean? If you get them pissed off about something about Trump and or COVID or whatever, whatever people are fighting, whatever, you get the anger, boom, that's feeding those deities. You know what I mean? They're kind of like those are their gods, so to speak. You know what I mean? Who grant them, you know, um, the ability to manifest and keep things in control. I mean, I say going back to the run too. Like we do things for healing ourselves, our collective communities, and there's power in that sacrifice. You know what I mean? And running and toiling and whatever else too. So there's like I'm gonna go too deep into stuff like that, but it's that fear energy is really real. It's like you're feeding those negative spirits.
Which is why I feel that these types of runs and these types of communities
Yeah,
and these types of practices are more important than ever, like I
yeah,
was saying earlier, because there's two sides of the world. There's a side that's awakening,
yeah,
questioning, wanting to change the world for the better, and then there's this other side where it's like the complete opposite.
yeah.
That's keeping it. I don't know. It's like a. I don't know if it keeps things in balance. I really don't know how that stuff
Well, because
works.
if you go into like Mesoamerican cosmology or cosmovision, whatever, like Tolteca, Mexica, Maya, whatever, too. Like so, it's the fifth sun. The sixth sun is rising now, right? The fifth sun is old, which is what they call like the dream of the planet. Have you heard that term?
No.
So there's like they're saying that like right now we're dreaming. Like there's dreaming when we're asleep, and there's dreaming like in the waking world.
Okay.
And there's a dream that we create by the words and our thoughts and the way we manifest, and it affects how we go about our world, right? So there's our personal dream of certain beliefs that we've given power to over the years, that we've been domesticated with or whatever, and so we kind of create our world in a sense by these beliefs that have been ingrained in us and what we speak and whatever, and so consciously or unconsciously. So then, excuse me if I didn't stay on the mic.
No, you're good. You're good.
And so anyway, so we have our individual dream, and then there's the collective dream where like the dream of a family, the dream of a community or the state or the country. So there's a collective, the cumulative effect of all these dreams coming together. Like we're manifesting. That's why it's important for them to keep control of the narrative, keep us in that certain fear,
In the media.
because they know what they're doing more so than us, because they know more about history and techniques than we do a lot of times. So anyway, so going back to the dream of the planet, that's a collective dream that we all have together. I forgot where I was gonna go with that, but
I don't know, but I feel like a lot
oh,
of
talk about the balance. So the dream of the
yeah.
planet. So the fifth sun
Okay.
The fifth sun is there's a collective old dream, the dream of the planet, as they say, and it's on its way out. So the sixth sun's already, it's already, I say, it's been born, but it hasn't matured yet and took its throne yet, so to speak.
And so it's supposed to.
So, but like like you said, like the age of Aquarius, or like these these more like enlightened, balance where things have been imbalanced for a very long time,
Mm,
right? So that old fifth sun, that old dream of the planet, is dying and the whole paradigm's on its way out, and so it's has resisted. That's why there's things are getting more extreme. There's a lot more kind of power grabs and a lot more um like I said, extreme things happening. Like you get like these forces pushing against each other. You know what I mean? And so the one that's losing and it's on its way out is going to get more drastic, and it's going to get worse before it gets better. But then once it gets worse, then I don't know what that is, but you know, the new sun takes its place, and they know that new age of like not peace, like in the candy sense of it, but in the sense of that balance of a balanced world, a truly balanced, awake society. Yeah,
right, because it's been noisy.
yeah,
It's been very noisy.
yeah.
But what do we do? How do we? How do we keep sane? How do we stay balanced? How do we influence our people? I think by the things we're doing, either coming here talking about these kind of things. Some of these things people don't want to fucking hear.
Yeah,
Some of these things are uncomfortable to say or listen to.
yeah.
But
Oh boy, or that, or like you have to penetrate people's so that like people are so really domesticated, or some people are just very caught up in their own shell that like like they have to hear things multiple times. It's just, and some people aren't always ready, and we can tell them the most truthful thing, and if they're
right,
not
right.
ready to hear it, or if it's
That's
not
very
if
true.
it's not if their mind is not in the fertile space
Yeah.
or time, it's not gonna.
Yeah.
It's kind of pointless.
And that's okay.
Yeah,
That's fine.
everybody has their time.
Everybody has their time. Yeah, yeah. I think you're right
I think
there.
the best
Like,
thing we could do is just do our best. Like pray, as however we know how to do that. And just like meditate and just really try to reflect on who we are, and
have good morals.
what our priorities are, and just be the best person that we can be,
Yeah.
even if we can't be everything for everyone.
Right.
Because ultimately, I think when we stay true to ourselves and what we feel is our path and our purpose on this earth walk, then that creates space. Like we're already in the frequency for being real and trying to do right and trying to be centered within ourselves. So that space creates space for, like, say you can be at the bus stop and meet some dude's not really on the right tip, or he's kind of just in a different zone. Like if you work hard to be in that space, effort wise or whatever, like you're blessing him, you don't even know it. Like I said, things aren't always so linear, you know what I mean? But like,
Mhm.
that's you're creating space with your vibration of trying to be centered and trying to heal, whatever. At some point, that's gonna rub off on him in some form or fashion. It might not be like this, or maybe it will, but there's everybody has a different path and process, and um, a shell to crack, so to speak. So
Yeah.
the
Yeah.
best
For
thing to do is
sure.
just be real to ourselves and do the best that we can, being our true selves, and not this imposed, domesticated model of what society or even other people want us to be. Really find our true purpose and energy and spirit and gifts, and do it
Goes back to the
as
same
best as we
thing.
can.
Goes back to the same thing.
Yeah.
Knowledge, information. Look within yourself, and
Hmm.
just be the
Yeah.
best version of yourself that you can be.
Yep.
Accepting when you fuck up.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
That's important.
Yeah.
People don't like looking in the mirror.
Yeah.
Oh shit, I messed up.
Yeah.
You know. Saying I'm sorry when you need to say I'm sorry.
Yeah.
Those things too. You
Yeah.
know. Those things are
A little
equally as
humility,
important. Humility.
self-reflection, and those are all like kind of like standard indigenous values, pretty much.
Self-reflection for sure.
Self-reflection,
Which comes through with
humility,
prayer.
keep your word, be real. Like the four agreements, basically.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, that's a good book.
Yeah.
I need to reread that.
Yeah.
one.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
feel like I should read that one once.
That's a great
year.
book. Yeah.
Everybody should read it. It's like a tune-up book.
I think it's a great book. To me, it's like there's a lot of, I say, at least for me, from my perspective, it's a profound Mesoamerican um, spirituality philosophy book, but it's written in a very kind of just very universal way that a lot of people don't realize what they're reading. I mean, how and it's gonna hit someone different depending on
Yeah.
where they're at.
Yeah.
That book is super powerful. Because and me too, like I'm real kind of a snob with like spiritual stuff, and like I said, I'm always kind of critiquing things and analyzing things. And like to me, because there's a lot of spiritual books out there, and like there's certain teachers who have like they're like OGs, like they're like root teachers, like they create their own root teachings, so to speak. And there's other people who kind of just rehash the popular stuff, you know?
Right, right. They just reiterate.
Yeah. So like Don Miguel's one of those people. He's like OG, with the Four Agreements. Like that's a core book, and there's probably other like 10 other books who've like rehashed and try to copy his stuff or just reiterate it.
I like the way he writes his stuff too,
Yeah.
because like, okay, he'll say it once and then he'll say it again in a different way,
Yeah.
and that just helps you,
Yeah.
you know.
Eckhart Tolle's real good. He's a,
Oh yeah,
yeah.
yeah.
Um,
Have you read the?
Paramahansa Yogananda, his books.
Oh,
Like
oh,
like
yeah.
and those people I think are they're originators
Of their thought.
of their thought
Yeah,
of
their
tech. Like they
knowledge.
might pull from different spiritual eyes, but like they're real spiritual writers. So like I mean, like they know, not writers like writing, right? I mean writers like like
Life.
bang bang, like that they know how to like they know
Life.
real shit. You know what I
Life.
mean? They're not just kind of perpetrating or rehash it from someone else's book. They're
No.
real deal. They pulled it from their real experience and their real success.
They're a lighthouse.
Yeah.
They're
But Paramahansa Yogananda, you know who he is, right?
yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like a lot, like I don't know about his newer crew or the people who run his operation now, but like his original books, he has like a lot of kind of like I guess kind of like Christian-y talk, but if you just view it as spiritual concepts, spiritual principles, like, dude, man, that dude's something else, man.
Wisdom.
Yeah, I mean, it's just
Wisdom, like to another level.
yeah, dude, just
And
really.
sometimes it's even just so basic too.
No, it is. What's the thing too? Because like so with the Four Agreements, like that's one thing I've always pushed for a lot of people. I'll give out books of it because it's been so good to me.
Yeah.
That's really kind of like how I kind of like that book. I would say probably like helped kind of like wake me up from my false dream, if you will. You know what I mean? I got that back in like 2000 something, but I forgot what point I was gonna make with that, but I forgot.
You're giving that book away.
Yeah, I mean,
And it's very basic.
yeah, it's basic, but like so a lot of times some people it's like they try to critique it like it needs to be technically complicated.
No, it doesn't have
No,
to.
that's not because it's not. It doesn't need to be
Yeah.
like that's just us thinking. That's people subscribing to that belief.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? That needs to be putting themselves in the box. And so yeah, but that's one of the best books ever. There's times too, bro. Like going into kind of shadows where like I've noticed where like I've get to people, bro, and like they enjoy it and they're like, oh yeah, this is great, whatever. And then like sometime shortly after that, like all of a sudden, like they hate me and they don't want to talk to me. But to me, I think that's like their I say like their shadows reaction because I'm here with this good energy, bringing this like real shit, and I brought the mirror to their spirit, and they're kind of opened them up, and it's like whatever parasite or monster that has them captive or spirits that have them captive, their mind or their energy, enslaved. It's a threat to that parasite or that trickster within them.
A lot of that stuff is
And so,
like,
so they adversely react to me because I'm the one who's bringing that. It's like, well, like where'd that come from?
Yeah.
Like,
a lot of that
I
stuff,
just brought the book, bro.
that stuff, that kind of stuff,
It's
that
true.
kind of energy
Yeah.
lives in the subconscious,
Yeah.
in the shadow self. And so when some truth like that comes through and they react like that, that's because you are poking at a core belief that they don't even know that they have.
Yeah.
And that reality, they don't know how to accept that.
Yeah.
That's what's happening there.
Yeah. Well, yeah. Because I mean, you put a spotlight on their parasite or
Mhm.
their shadow, where like I say a lot of times, and that's the thing too. But like, it's one thing to have like we all kind of have that shadow or
All of
side, but
us.
it's one thing. It's like it's to have it in balance and good relationship.
Mm.
Whereas a lot of people don't have that. One, they don't know exists, and two, like they have a very toxic slave relationship with it, where that shadow side, that parasite side, has them kind of like under the whip and chains, basically their true self in whips. You know what I mean? And it controls their show
That's a truth.
versus having the balance with like your shadow side. It's two different things.
Yeah.
So the shadow's not bad per se, but if it can get toxic, if it gets really dense, and
And wants to be
you
fed.
don't, yeah, if you don't deal with it, acknowledge it, and
Yeah.
do the work you need to do to keep yourself in balance.
Right, because then if not, then it will get hungry
Yeah.
and it would want you to keep feeding it.
Yeah.
With bad decisions and negativity.
Yep.
Yeah, and it's a vicious cycle.
Oh yeah.
And then people don't know how to deal with that shit.
Yeah.
They go to drugs. maybe subscription drugs too. But I
Yeah.
mean, prescription drugs and
Yeah.
over the counter stuff
Yeah.
too, because they don't know how to deal with this mental stuff that's
Yeah.
happening. Okay, so the four agreements:
Yeah.
be impeccable with your words, don't take anything personal. That's a big one
Yeah.
because we all have big ass egos.
Yeah.
Not all of us, but
Yeah.
a lot of people have big ass egos. Don't make assumptions.
Uh-huh.
That's hard too
Yeah.
because sometimes we think we know
Yeah.
everything.
Yeah.
So we're trying to paint the whole picture.
Yeah.
That's where assumption comes
Yeah.
in, right? And then always do your best.
Yeah.
So simple.
I need to read it again too. I mean, I know it, but like it's I always get something. It always hits me different every time I read it. I've read it like maybe about 20 times, but I haven't read it for like maybe about a few years now. But
It's so simple.
it always it's simple, but like it's really it's. I mean, and when you go into that, there's a lot of depth to it, depending on what you need or whatever, you know. But it's powerful, you know.
Yeah.
Like you know, if we go into the word too, like the power of the word. Like I said, you know, before, like the teaching says that you know the power of the word is how we create a reality. You know, like we subscribe to these words in our head, these certain beliefs that you know create the box or create this dream, bad or good, false or not, that's in our head. You know what I mean? And because we subscribe or get power to these words, so it's important to kind of like say when you meditate, kind of you know watch those words, see what kind of words are like. Okay, like are those my words? Like where did I get those words from? And kind of reprogram
Mm,
yourself. You know.
that's very
So
true.
that's the word part of it. You know what I mean?
Yeah, be
And,
impeccable with your
yeah, at the
words.
same time, being able to heal or to hurt. Like I say, hey, you ugly motherfucker, or oh damn fool, you looking fly today, or whatever, whatever. And I'm saying like the word has a you know, ability to create or to you know destroy, as it were. You know, like I said with that knife analogy I gave earlier.
Yeah.
You know, it's deep.
It's like abracadabra.
Yeah, exactly. And
Yeah.
then
And then typically, yeah, you're right. It starts in your head, and you have to be like, "Is this
yeah,
my thought? Is this my word?"
because that's like, but then going back to our saying too, the education system, the things that we're taught, like where do we get that shit from? A lot of times we don't even realize because we're just like naturally programmed, and we're like we normalize these thoughts that you know limit who we are and fuck with our spirit and put us in these like destitute, spiritually, emotionally destitute states of being. You know,
Yeah. Yeah. We
it gets
think good.
deep. I guess we can we can go down the rabbit holes. You know.
Yeah. Yeah. But that's the order of it. We
Yeah.
think it, then we say it,
Yeah.
and then sometimes we do,
Yeah.
depending on what it is.
Yep.
And then it becomes a habit, right?
Yep.
And
Yep.
then we think it again. Then we say it again. Then we do it again.
Yeah.
And it just becomes
Yeah. Yeah.
whatever it is, becomes a bad habit.
Yeah.
Or you check yourself. You have a good
If you're
center.
conscious, have a certain
Yeah.
creative consciousness and you know awareness,
You
and
find
try
a
to be
good
mindful.
center. Yeah.
And you're not always gonna do it right, so that's why you do your very best.
Right. Try your best every day. And then forgive yourself if you didn't.
Yeah.
Right?
The
Right.
best changes from time to time.
Mm.
Sometimes your best is running, you know, 5 miles a day. Sometimes it's sleeping 5 hours extra a day.
Right.
You know,
Right.
it changes.
And taking at least 5 minutes
Which,
to
which
stretch.
I said too, the compassion for yourself too.
Compassion for yourself. Yeah. Yeah. A lot of people beat themselves up.
Yeah.
The suicide rates are out of this world in the United States.
Yeah.
If we had a little more compassion, you know, I mean, it gets heavy. It gets
Mhm.
noisy inside the brain.
Yeah.
And some people don't know how to deal with that, and sometimes they can't.
Yeah.
So, you know, it's in the mind and the body, right? Have you seen somebody sad? Right?
Okay.
You
Yeah.
can
Of course.
kind of
Yeah.
tell.
Yeah.
Their shoulders,
Yeah.
they're down.
Yeah.
You can kind of tell.
The body
body's
language.
tell-
Yeah.
The body's telling you a little bit of what's going on in the brain. Or
Yeah.
somebody confident walks in,
Yeah.
fucking chin up, chest out, right?
Yeah.
Full of energy. That impacts the room too,
Yeah.
right? This aura.
Yeah.
Or if there's like a negative person within the circle, it kind of brings, it can bring you down
Yeah.
if you're not prepared for that.
Yeah.
Or if it's somebody you love. Okay, this is big for me. If somebody you really love and respect is down or sad, that hurts to me.
Yeah.
Right? Because some of these people you look up to them or they're your hero, and all of a sudden they're the one that are down. You know,
Yeah.
usually the ones holding it up.
Yeah. I mean, everybody has. I mean, everybody has said like
We're
every
all
song
human.
has its you know highs and its lows, or
Yeah.
it's you know it's you know the drum, boom, you know positive, negative, whatever, you know.
Yeah. Hey, so tell me, how was it growing up here in West LA and in Venice?
Oh man, I mean, oof.
That's a big one.
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot to talk about there. I mean,
Because
like,
I know LA has changed so much
Yeah.
in the last 5, 10, 15, 20
Yeah, I
years.
would say especially the last 20 years, 30 years more or less, but 20 years especially.
Oh wait, before you tell me that, you said you're fifth
Generation. Yeah.
from West LA.
Yeah.
So when did your family get here?
Both my mom and my dad. Well, my dad's side got here like maybe in the like 1924, 23, something like that.
Okay.
And then so I'm fifth generation on my dad's side. My mom came from Monterrey, Mexico. Like I guess in the she was born 1950, so like late 50s she got here.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
And so but yeah, so my family's been here since since the 20s. Always in the west side, Venice, Santa Monica, Del Rey. I think there should be like an enclave right there. I think it's right there by the cemetery, like El Rincon, the
Mm.
little elementary school right there.
Yeah, I know what
I
you're talking
think I think that little kind of I think there should be like a little like an enclave way back in the day,
about. What is that?
like a just like a little neighborhood, like a little barrio basically, or a little kind of just area where there's a lot of certain people.
I see. I
Yeah.
see. Because before it wasn't a big
Yeah, just
city.
like back in I'm talking about like in the in the 40s or 50s maybe.
I've seen
or s-
pictures of LA back in the day.
Yeah.
And it was only like pockets of
Yeah.
like little communities here and there. It
Yeah.
wasn't what it is now.
Yeah, especially because before the 10 freeway wasn't there. It didn't get there till what, like late 60s, I think. I forgot exactly.
Don't
Yeah,
get me started on the 10th freeway, man. I think it's
but that split community and stuff like that.
when
So
they made the 10 freeway, they weren't expecting LA to be what it is now, man.
yeah.
When you look at
Well, I think they like in what way? What do you think?
like the engineering of it, because that's why we have a lot of traffic.
Yeah.
Like if you look at it, the structure of it, the way they engineered it, wasn't meant for the population that we have now.
I think it wasn't meant for the population, but like they did intend because the whole like LA area was maybe even Southern California. It was going back to politics too. It's like it's it was manufactured to facilitate the um the car business. You ever seen the movie Roger Rabbit?
A long time ago, not really.
Watch it again because a lot of it's about like I haven't seen it for a while too, but basically it's about like like mafia, gangster scandals, whatever, and trying to like re- reveal something or get some news out, or I forgot trying to like kind of blow the whistle on some stuff too. But basically, that's a story about how like basically LA became because this is where they built the first freeway, right? The 101 right there in like in Ball Heights right there area, or, that's the first freeway that was built, whatever too. But it was meant to facilitate the car industry in California, especially LA was going to be like that playground too. But it's like a lot of it's like anything political colonizer gangsterism going on. They got their way, and you know that's why the car culture here is not what it is in other areas. Now I'm saying because we have a very distinct lowrider culture, but a lot of it was because of that you know deliberately manufactured I guess infrastructure with transportation here, the freeways and all that stuff too.
Okay.
It was intended, but like I said, the population probably not, but
Yeah.
as far as the cars, yeah.
The cars, yeah.
Yeah.
But not,
Yeah.
not what it became.
Yeah.
Yeah, because it's specifically the 10, the 405, and I forget the other entrance. Pretty much where the 10, the 405.
As far as
is.
West Side freeways you go or talking
Yeah,
about?
yeah.
Oh, like
Where-
far as major freeways, it's just the 405 and the 10 on the west side.
where that structure where they meet up, if you look at that, it's bad design.
and I'm trying to think because 405.
Like if you're going east,
Oh yeah, I got you. Okay, you're going on 405 and then the 10. Yeah.
yeah, because there's a entrance of the freeway, and then if you're trying to go north, you have to get all the way to the right lane. If you're trying to go south, you have to get on the second to right lane.
Yeah.
And there's also entrance to the freeway that needs to get onto the 10.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't know what
As
the
you
logic
stood-
is. Yeah, I don't know
you
what the
know-
logic was.
Well, it wasn't the population that we have now. For
Yeah.
Sure. But anyway,
That's funny.
I got off a topic. You were telling me about your family. As you can see, I get frustrated on the freeway.
Yeah. No. I haven't drove a car for like the last maybe like 6 years, so I get frustrated with the bus. So
Yeah, for sure. So your parents were here,
Oh, yeah.
20s and 50s.
yeah, no, my great grandparents.
I mean,
Yeah.
your parents, your great
Yeah. So yeah, fifth generation out here, and yeah, like right there at the house I stayed in Venice where you picked me up at earlier. Like we've had that house since I want to say like late 40s. but we've been in Venice since the 20s. So yeah,
Okay.
because back then too was a lot, a lot of agricultural work. A lot of like the trains went down to came down to this area, like so a lot of like canneries, um, like a lot of like these old like train tracks. Like like the revived Expo, like the
Yes.
stuff they're doing over here, like in Culver City. Like I was trying to get like those. Was it that that I think that's Expo line too, right? I guess yeah. But like there's a lot of tracks that were kind of like of the during the 70s and 80s or so, they were pretty much relatively defunct.
Yeah, I remember being a kid in the '90s and seeing the railroads, but yeah,
Yeah,
there's no
yeah, but
trains.
originally, like back in the day, like because they would bring all the crops or whatever, and then like they would do like the I say like the processing for the canneries, Dole. I don't know what vegetable company, but some one of those prominent vegetable canning companies. So
And I actually,
that's a lot of Chicanos were out here too because of the agriculture work.
I'm
Yeah.
gonna get back to
Oh yeah,
your
yeah.
line now, but I do remember you posting something recently about there's gonna be a memorial somewhere in Venice for people, the Mexicans that built the railroad tracks.
Oh yeah. So my homegirl Laura Cevallos, she
Okay.
dope organizer. She also organizes the historic Venice Cinco de Mayo March parade. And so because there's a lot of like erasure of history, you know what I mean, and especially with people of color, indigenous people, black people, especially Chicano people. Chicano, like a lot of our history is like the black history is already super marginalized, but there's still some documentation, things that we can use to lift up. But even as far as Chicano history, there's even less history, documented or elevated over the years. So anyway, so
And what is it called? Los traqueros?
taquero, yeah. So I guess like a lot of the Mexicans that helped build the railroads, along with the Chinese and stuff like that too.
Traqueros.
Yeah,
Like which is
taqueros.
tracks, the
Yeah,
tracks, the
yeah,
traqueros.
yeah,
Yeah. Los traqueros.
yeah. And so it's a monument being built on the Windward Circle for people who know Venice Beach, right? It's right near the Venice sign, like just a block east of where the Venice sign is at, and that roundabout right there, and it's gonna be right in the middle. So they're still fundraising to get. I mean, it's already approved as far as the
It was
plans and the
approved, yeah.
space, but as far as them funding the actual monument and getting it put on there, it's still in the
It's
process.
still in the process. I was reading an article
So much
and
resistance too, bro. Oh my god, these
there was a lot
gentrifiers.
of resistance on there.
A lot of we're not racist, but doing
They,
everything in their power to not have it there.
and that was the city council.
No, neighborhood council,
The
neighborhood
okay.
council, and local. A lot of not all, but a lot of local businesses. Because the thing too is like everything's they want like it's a lot of people's behavior is very telling. Like people will kind of show you even unconsciously what they're trying to do, like whitewashing. Like so, for instance, that whole little corner of like Windward and Pacific, right there where the Van sign's at. Like, if you notice, they've been painting a lot of these new businesses in Venice, like literally white, and calling it the White House or the White this or in Italian or whatever. But they'll have some kind of white paint or visual or name or whatever too. So there's a whole like I said, a lot of gentrification happens. People think it's by chance, but
Do you know what their pushback was on
oh,
the
some of the reasons that they gave were like, oh, it's there's no tracks right there. The tracks are over by Venice Boulevard. They're not. It wouldn't be significant, you know what I mean? But our thing is just like there's no representation anywhere. Like area of the streets named after some white dude. You know what I'm saying? So it's like, but like the one thing that we want to put up to recognize, the original people of the land, Mexican Chicano people of the area, it's like you guys are getting us find us tooth and nail.
yeah?
You know what I
I
mean?
mean there's gonna be a plaque and it's gonna explain.
Yeah, yeah, like a statue, whatever. And
Yeah, there's
so
gonna be a plaque that explains
but
why it's
also too,
there
what
and
it
all
does
that
too,
stuff.
like they're upset too because a lot of Chamber of Commerce folks, like I said, because gentrification is planned. It's not a happen chance, happenstance, thing. It's a very, displacement is planned and coordinated. So they have these like business plans of how they want the area to look and whatever too. So
Right.
so having a Mexican American monument right in the middle of an area where they're trying to fucking really like whitewash it and make it all like nice and kind of I don't even like shit talking about these different Australians and these people coming in, Europeans coming into the area. It's like they really want to literally to whitewash it. You know what I mean? Like visually, business wise. So having that it throws off the branding and it fucks with their business. You know what I mean? So
Well, it got approved. First, yeah.
yeah.
And so that funding, what's up with that funding? Like how to
I don't
you know
have the link
anything?
right now too, but if you go to I'll put up on my website,
Yeah.
bravoforvenice.com. That's
There's great people that
bravo,
could
the number
contribute to
four,
that.
venice.com.
I'm sorry,
Or
is it one more time?
Bravo, Bravo, the number four, and then
Okay.
Venice.com.
Okay.
or you can just follow me, hit me up on Instagram, OG Bravo One.
And then there is a way for people to contribute to
Yeah,
that fund,
yeah. I don't have it offhand. I don't know what link, but
but it's already out
yeah,
there.
there's ways people could contribute to donate to help make that happen.
Oh yeah, for sure.
Yeah,
Yeah, yeah.
but the
Okay,
stage is
I'll make
already
sure.
set. Just a matter of kind of just finishing off the funding and doing the actual
Okay.
monument creation. So
Okay, yeah, and I was reading about Los Traqueros, and it's a trip because I was reading how they would come over from Mexico,
hmm
and they were actually incentivized, or
honestly, I don't know too much about the history of the
I read,
taqueros in
yeah,
particular.
I read an article,
Okay.
and they were you know where they were living,
Mhm.
in the box trucks, which is like how what the train pushes.
Oh
They were
yeah.
living in there, and
Oh.
they were incentivized to bring their families over.
Mm.
So that at first it was just the men,
Yeah.
just the man coming over from Mexico, building the tracks,
hmm
laying down the railroads. And since it's a large project, you just don't finish this right away, especially back, I think it was in the 30s or 40s.
Yeah.
You don't finish it right away.
Yeah.
So they were like, well, bring your family over. And they were literally living in those box trucks, man.
Oh, but yeah, I believe it. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Just to finish the railroad.
Yeah.
And that's why that monument is being placed there,
Yeah.
to recognize the hard work that the many
Yeah.
Mexicans.
Yeah. Well, I mean, because you got to figure too, there's a time when, like, the whole infrastructure of the country pretty much is still like LA being one of the most critical cities of import, export, or whatever. Like, like those, like we help build almost literally a lot of shit that's out here now, the infrastructure for this fucking country,
Yeah. Yeah.
and we don't get no representation, and
Yeah.
so, but like I said, too, representation is important, and like I said, but even the bare minimum too, it's like it was so hard for a lot of these white folks, mostly gentrifiers, because a lot of the OG ones, like most of them were down for it, you know what I mean? But these newer gentrifiers, like they don't like say because it fucks with their branding and their marketing for their businesses and their gentrification plans. So,
And that's a big thing you guys have been seeing out
oh
in
yeah,
Venice.
oh yeah, yeah, it's been ongoing since the '90s. I think we're one of the first eras to really kind of start facing that gentrification as far as people, the way the phenomenon that it is now, across the country, uh, especially with black and brown neighborhoods particularly. And so, I want to say we were probably one of the first, if not the first, like really areas, because I want to say we even were the first people to get the gang injunctions
What is that?
implemented, where they kind of like it's like this it's unconstitutional law, which it already kind of did its dirt already, so it's kind of there, but like it's just basically where they would further criminalize people that thought were gang members and people that thought were gang members from congregating, and as a way to kind of get the gangs out, but if you know too, like when we say the gang, it already has like a negative connotation, like there's nuances with gang stuff. So it's like
Right.
for instance, like gangs weren't even called gangs back. They weren't, not until maybe like the '70s they were being called gangs. Before they were like clubs and whatever else. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I kind of do remember
Yeah,
that.
yeah.
And
So
then, and even if you weren't part of it, if you look like you were part of
yeah,
it,
then because
or if you lived in the same
yeah,
neighborhood.
and just come out too. Like say if you grew up next to me, like say like whatever, and like we hang out and someone come to fuck with you, like hey, you're my neighbor, I'm gonna back you up, whatever.
Right,
And,
right, of
and that's
course.
how. And before not boom, of course, but then lack of knowledge of self, poverty, all these elements that kind of give way to like violence and ignorance to
Poverty.
exacerbate itself. You know what I mean? So that's all those gangs get for the work. Because originally they were protective groups for the community, but then like I said, poverty, drugs, whatever. They knew what they were doing. Anyway, so the gang injunction, like it basically it was a way to get a lot of people out. So for instance, like if my cousin was like a known gang member and they saw me hanging out with him, I would be marked as a gang member, right?
Just because he's affiliated.
Yeah. So if I was hanging out with, and I think like no more than two or three could congregate at one time in one place. So, but the thing is, like, if I was caught with them, let's say I'm talking to my cousins, whatever, boom, and they're on the list, they would list me as a gang member. So then if I go hang out with like someone else, like, oh well, there's like they're manufacturing what's considered illegally a gang member. You know what I'm saying? And so and then when they have these, like, oh my god, the whole house is a gang member now. Oh my god, my grandma's hanging out. And not I mean a little slightly exaggerative, but that's to the point where like anybody hanging out became a gang member. You know what I'm saying? Almost some, like it's the whole house is full of it's gang infested. Oh my god, gangs take over this house. We need, eminent domain or whatever too, taking the property and
And I'm sure there's a lot of
Oh
harassment
yeah, dude, just so many.
and stop and
Oh yeah,
search and
that's just
frisk.
one but as far as the gang injunction itself, not to go into too many details about
But
it,
that's what it is.
but what it's one of its main its foremost function is to tenderize um um areas, prime real estate to be taken by gentrification forces. They
What's
won't say that's what it's for, but that's if you do the data, it's not hard. It's not hard to figure out.
you think that's gonna happen in Inglewood
Oh, that's already happening in England.
because of the whole stadium
Oh,
thing?
yeah, the Rams are just exacerbating it right now. Yeah, yeah, it's probably been happening in Inglewood for at least I want to say at least about 10, 15 years already. Maybe it's been trickling in,
Because I know the real estate and the property over there has
but
always
but the Ram
historically
Stadium,
been.
the SoFi Stadium, that's definitely fucking like I mean I already know just knowing how gentrification forces work, and their mayor's a piece of shit, and their city government's pretty much like just like very little accountability. Their police department's crap, and like they're not like they're getting fucked right now, gentrification wise. That's why like when these with the Ram celebration and all this, like I couldn't get into it because to me it's like my mind's too critical. I can't like like they push all the street vendors out. They started fucking crackdowns, ICE crackdowns,
I heard
and the
about
FBI
that.
crackdowns on all people within like I don't know how many miles of the stadium selling fucking gear. It's fucking Inglewood. It's a fucking hood. People are always selling fucking like their little bootleg, hats or T-shirts or whatever. Like, dude, but and they're all like cracking down or whatever. It's like, dude, like like so at the same time
Only
you get,
they can profit.
but at the same time too, you got a lot of our people out there. Oh yeah, and all like kind of just being hoes for the Rams or whatever. And I like sports. Don't get me wrong, Joe. I want to like cheer and sports are fun. I get it, what I mean? But at the same time too, it's like they're out here fucking just making the fucking hard ass moves against your people.
Yeah.
Economic warfare, cultural warfare, like dude,
Yeah,
like
especially when you hear them
and you're
cracking
dancing to like
down
yeah,
like people selling merchandise, dude. They're just trying to make a buck, bro. You know how much those tickets were to the game? You
yeah,
know how much parking was to the game?
yeah,
People just trying to sell their food.
yeah,
The food vendors. They're just trying to make some money. That
like they
there's an
always do, like
event.
they always do. It's invasion again, dude. Like
Yeah,
there's a certain kind of culture, things we're used to, but all of a sudden now it's like people are gonna start getting pushed out, which is what's happening, and then like like they start harassing the vendors. They're bringing the ice,
dude.
like
The
it's
vendors
fucking
are hustlers.
yeah,
They see an event. They're like, let's go sell some stuff, make some money.
yeah.
So
But
our
Inglewood, like I feel for Inglewood, dog. Like I can only imagine just knowing, like, but just because knowing the big money that's there, and and like I said, knowing some of the political landscape there, like I think you think LA's bad, dude. Yeah,
yeah, I don't know
I
too
feel
much.
for my so
I don't know too much about
I feel for my
Inglewood.
folks out in Inglewood, so
Yeah,
yeah,
yeah. But historically, the rent and the property value over there has always been lower.
yeah,
Has
yeah,
always,
yeah.
always. Like I know when you look around.
Well,
Oh,
well, since it became more of a predominantly black and brown, because
exactly.
you got married too, because back then they had redlining and black
Yes.
people couldn't own property,
Yes.
but once they were able to, like what I think, like in the 50s or 60s, I think I want to say somewhere around that time. I think after the Fair Housing Act or somewhere around that time, boom, it became increasingly black because white people, what's it, the Great White Flight, which is basically when like don't communities that get gentrified are black and brown communities. White communities don't get gentrified. When white people leave a community, it's because it's by choice. So it's called white flight. So they there's laws against black people or I think even brown people owning property in there. So once that was lifted, boom, all the white people start just kind of
That's history right there,
yeah,
man. That is history.
yeah. You can look it up too. There's if you look up Ku Klux Klan, KKK, Inglewood Uprising or something.
Really?
Yeah, if you Google it,
I've never heard of that.
KKK Inglewood, um, not riot, but something like that. But if you look at KKK Inglewood, you'll find stuff too. Because I do, I do a lot of work out here, defending history in general. We had the victory with the First Baptist Church of Venice, the oldest black church in Venice, and so a lot of it meant for us to
Wait, what was going on there?
basically, a crooked pastor, 7 lot property, been there for like 100 something years. Um, whenever gentrification happens, the attendees go down, whatever. A crooked pastor found a way to manufacture consent to sell the property, 7 lots in the middle of Oakwood, prime real estate, Venice, 6 blocks from the beach, maybe 7 blocks, and sold to the Penske's. Roger Penske. Roger Penske says son. Roger Penske, he's like race car, has all the trucks, whatever. known for like kind of automotive conglomerate and stuff like that. Real
Okay.
big in the racing world, NASCAR, all that shit. Anyways, but his son, Jay Penske, owns Rolling Stone, Variety magazine. He's more of a media mogul, but he has all his dad's
Oh,
billionaire
so
money.
they weren't gonna keep
Oh
it.
yeah, yeah, oh yeah.
They
No,
were gonna.
they said they were. They give the good. This is how they work too. Like they say what they're gonna do. Oh yeah, for the community, and yeah, we're gonna raise our family here. And but like, you're gonna raise your fucking family in the middle of fucking black neighborhood, motherfucker. Rich ass. Anyways, not to go into that too. But anyway, so we had fought for 4 years to save it, and we got historical designation, which gives it a lot of protections. But technically, Jay Penske sold to one of his associates, so it's not really financially legally in our hands, but we put up a lot of um with the historic designation, we put up a big defense, so it's really going to be super 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 hard for them to build anything other than what we want them to build, which of course they don't want to build community stuff. They want to build their condos and return on investment or whatever, so 7 lots in the middle of Venice, still gentrifying. So but anyway, so that was that too. But the point I think I was going to make was about history being real important. I forgot what I was talking about before that. Before I mentioned the church, what was I saying?
Uh, no, you were getting into the church and the gentrification over
Oh,
there
we could talk about the KKK in England. So anyway,
and
so
the
like,
KKK in
so
England.
a lot of it was having to do a lot of elevating a lot of the history that doesn't get talked about, and so we have pictures during like our Black History Month, like which is this Black History Month right now too. But like, all of the KKK people think of KKK like in the Midwest, but there's KKK strongholds out here too. So there's a big old look up. Okay, Inglewood raid, KKK Inglewood raid. Looked it up in Google, you'll find like articles. But anyways, so there's like stronghold chapters of KKK in Santa Monica, Venice, um, El Segundo, Inglewood, and I want to
This
say
was like
Torrance.
like in the 50s, 60s,
This is I want to say like 1940,
in the 40s.
40s,
Okay.
something like that. Yeah. So, but just going back to like a lot of time people don't associate the West Side with being because we're a liberal bastion or whatever too. But we're like the core framework, which hasn't really changed. It's it still has a white supremacy structure trajectory. You know what I'm saying? So it's just really interesting because a lot of people don't realize that. Just like I said, going back to the importance of history and knowing who you are. Well, knowing who you are and knowing where you are, and then three, knowing what your relationship is to that space.
Mm.
Like I said too, I'm Chicano, I'm indigenous, and I'm saying I know a lot of my roots in Michoacan, but like at the same time too, I'm on Tongva land, Quiche land, or whatever. So um, it's important to know who we are in our relationship to the land,
Yeah.
so we know how to act responsibly and you know be of good morals and values, right? So that's pretty deep, huh?
Yeah, man. Yeah, I'm gonna look that up.
Yeah,
Yeah. I didn't know that part of LA really.
yeah. Well, you don't because but yeah, you want you. I mean, anything that puts light on the context of our oppression, you're not gonna hear it. You know what I mean?
Yeah, for sure.
So,
So I jumped over to that kind of stuff, but you were telling me about your family coming here and you growing up in the west side.
oh yeah,
Um, I mean, things have changed so much.
yeah.
I remember I was telling you that Culver City. I grew up more like in the Culver City area,
Like what area more about?
like Robertson and National. Like,
Oh, okay,
is
over
it
there,
too
yeah.
much Culver City yet? Like, it's like at the edge of Culver City.
Well, what neighborhood's out there? That's
Mm,
not Mid City Stoners. Like
no, no,
that's
no.
no, that's
I'm not in Mid City. I wasn't in Mid City.
uh
Thank goodness, because I
yeah, that's a contact. Like, but what's that? What hood is right there? It's like it's something with the age, isn't it? Like not Helms. No, I'm trying to think.
I'm by Helms. A little
Okay,
bit by Helms.
because I thought about when I think about neighborhood, I think about them in terms of like the gang that controls them. You know what I mean? So like sometimes there's areas where they're technically Culver City, but it's not Culver City that really runs that. Back in the day anyway. I mean, I think of
There in that spot, I feel like we were in the middle of like not too much of a hood situation because the Cadillac had a hood has a
yeah,
hood
yeah,
over there. You know that
yeah,
what is that Robertson and Cadillac?
yeah.
Like that was like I wouldn't go over
No, I
there.
remember. Yeah, I remember when I was younger. Yeah.
Yeah, I wouldn't go over there because people were getting shot all the
Oh
time.
yeah,
There's a gang there. I don't know what gang it was, but there was a gang there.
yeah,
So we knew stay away from that spot.
yeah,
Even though we had friends that lived there
yeah,
that went to my high school. And then what was the other place? Mid City?
yeah.
No, I wasn't in Mid City either, but also like around the Hauser area.
Okay.
stay away from there too when I was a youngster
Yeah.
because also gangs.
Well, even now it's still kind of,
Yeah,
it's still,
also like shooting people, getting shot
yeah,
and
and I
stuff
still
like that.
see like, a lot of graffiti out there.
Yeah, no, I
But
didn't
like,
grow up
I mean,
around
like
there.
talking about
I grew up
like
around Hamilton.
hood graffiti, like fighting, like, like people getting crossed out and shit. I'm like, damn, like
Yeah, no, 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 no.
people still doing the fucking blocks, like, oh shit, motherfucker, like, damn. I like to see it. I like to see hoods like, I say still prevalent in the sense of terms of like, community protection, but like obviously there's a negative side to it.
Right, right, right. I grew up like around Hamilton,
Okay.
the high school.
Okay.
So I feel like it was a pocket of not a hood. There's no really hood there.
Yeah.
Um,
It's kind of it's like an in between spot between different. Yeah.
yes, right, right.
Yeah.
Like within Mid City, the Cadillac area,
Yeah.
Culver City, like
Yeah.
it's in a between area there.
Yeah.
But like I was telling you earlier, we would go to Culver City a lot because
Mhm.
that's where a lot of the stuff was.
Right.
Like the Best Buy and
Yeah.
the supermarkets and stuff
Yeah.
like that. I do remember Culver City changed so much
Yeah.
since I was a kid. When I was a kid, it was more like a small town type of feel.
Yeah.
Like small shops.
Yeah.
Mom and pops.
I thought Santa Monica was too growing up.
Yeah, for sure, right? Yeah,
Well, because I'm talking, you're what? You're 35, you said?
34.
34. So
Yeah.
I'm 47. So yeah. So
Yeah, and Blockbuster.
Yeah.
I grew around there, like the Blockbuster, Hollywood. What was it? Hollywood video, something like that.
yeah.
And then within the last 20 years, now we have an expo line. Now we have everywhere there's being.
I haven't been down there for a minute though. So
A lot
yeah.
of the stuff that's being constructed now is like restaurants
Yeah.
on the bottom and then condos on the
That's
top.
the mixed use. That's what they call mixed use,
The
and
mixed use. That's a lot that's popping up. in
yeah,
Culver
that's a lot of
City.
like the standard things.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, I can see. Why
And then
they're
what they'll
doing
do too is like just to kind of put people on some like land use games. So a lot of times like you get these developers like, oh yeah, we're putting affordable mixed use, affordable units, and a lot of times they're not really affordable. They're affordable to the tech bros at Google, but they're not really affordable to the average people that you know.
Yeah, they'll mention
Unless you're a
like,
tech
oh,
bro at
it's,
Google.
like, low income.
I'm talking about native people, like native West Siders.
Yeah, no, I
Yeah.
remember going to a city council meeting and there was developers there, trying to get the approval, and they were talking about stuff like
Yeah, they always use like very deceptive language. They're so slick, and they might, if they're really good, they'll get like a couple black and brown folks that kind of like, I say, pay them off to like, oh yeah, yeah, they're doing good for us, and
Right.
just kind of be tokenized and whatever,
And
sadly.
probably out of the whole building, like only one
Yeah,
unit is
there's always
affordable.
someone who's willing to be kind of hoed for the. I mean, it's it's an ugly game, but yeah,
Yeah,
it's
these
reality.
guys are.
Most of them are
There's a lot of
dirtbags.
money.
Yeah,
There's a lot of money. They're just looking out for. They have the money to invest, and they're looking for their investment return and stuff
Yeah.
like that. And they don't really care about.
yeah.
anything
No, they're just
else,
coming for profit.
sure. And if there is going to be one affordable unit, it's going to
Yeah.
be one out of the whole
Yeah.
situation.
Yeah.
But they paint a nice.
Or,
picture.
but if it's even that, or if it's even affordable, it's technically affordable on their books, but like really say it's not really affordable to you or me or
Yeah, no.
or whatever,
Yeah.
Affordable, yeah, $2,000 for a studio.
600
affordable.
550
For the immediate- yeah.
square foot
Yeah,
studio.
it's only like it's only you want to demand for the put people on game if they watch it, like low to lower middle income units, because affordable housing, it could be like I said, it could be fucking like that could be $2,000 a month for a studio. You know what I
That's
mean?
a lot.
It depends, on the average and stuff like that too. But so y'all we want to demand, especially areas that are being gentrified, for low income, or mid lower income units. Otherwise, it's bullshit.
Rent is the most expensive thing for almost every family. That
Yeah.
all like yeah, everybody has expenses.
Yeah, I think something like, if I'm not mistaken, something like to the effect of like the average person, like in LA, like I think like 40 to 50% of their income goes just to fucking rent.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
bullshit.
It is fucking.
And like and housing is a basic. I say it's a basic human necessity, dude. So like they're fucking taxing you for fucking the most basic shit that you should already have as a function of society, like. But they're like hanging that over our head. That's why a lot of the homeless situations out there too.
They all just want money.
Yeah,
Money and
because the thing is like, there's not a shortage of homes. There's a shortage of people living in the homes. There's so many fucking empty units out there.
yeah.
And there's a lot of these properties that are being bought up too, and it's like they're a lot of like these, like kind of like these real estate gangsters. Like I said, some the bigger ones, like who own the companies and development companies. A lot of times, they're they're like laundering money and they're just planting money in these fucking properties where like they'll buy this property and they'll fucking build this ridiculous egregious mansion or whatever, or McMansion as they say, and then like you got this $10 million project whatever sitting whatever, and like no one's living that shit. It's just there, boom. But that's what they plant their money for, whatever, however they do their dirt and their business, whatever. So a lot of times there's plenty of houses for the homeless people to go to. There's just no will because like say capitalism and
Yeah, and the
all
homeless
that.
situation is,
Yeah.
I think it's a complicated thing because I was mentioning earlier to before we started the podcast is that a lot of the homeless here aren't even homeless because they became homeless here in LA. A lot of homeless that are in LA or within California have come from the whole
Well, it
country.
depends what area. Because like from my understanding, I want to say like about 60 to 70% of the people who are homeless now at one time had a place in Los Angeles. So it said that they might be from like somewhere else, but at some point they had a living situation in Los
I
Angeles.
see.
You know, but
So
there, but,
you
but
said
but but you do get a lot of out towners that come. The
a
weather's
lot of
good.
out of state,
Yeah,
a lot of
I mean,
state.
because
Yeah,
it's in California, you get a lot of like people are travelers, hobos, or just people who do like you might know a lot of people just do like they travel around the state or they like to
yeah,
travel and do kind of camping shit. So there's a lot of people like that too. They come, but
right. And you
th-
can't survive in a desert, and you can't survive in a freezing,
yeah, yeah.
place. So California and
But
seems
then
to
sometimes they get caught for the worst because obviously it's a tourist attraction. There's a lot of drugs out here, a lot of negativity and stuff like that too. That if you're not careful, anyone can get caught up in. It's like a mini sin city, especially in Venice. Because it is a tourist attraction at the end of the day. So you get people who come and but like I said, Venice is not the whole. We have one of the largest unhoused populations in the county, but we're not the highest. But I think we're like the fourth or fifth in the county.
yeah.
Yeah, but yeah. So
I always wonder about the graffiti in Venice. What's up with that? Like, you know how you can go to the beach and anybody can do graffiti out there.
oh yeah, yeah.
What's up with that? Like,
That still happens. I mean, because as people know, back in the day, the pavilion that used to be there used to be a real big pavilion, where it's kind of just they had concerts there, and it's kind of a rundown, just pavilion basically. A lot of people did graffiti there, but when they rebuilt the police station down there, I would say like maybe about 20 years ago. Damn, time flies. But they left like two walls there, two or three walls, and people can go there and they can paint. Yeah,
and it's legal
it's legal. Yeah,
because I don't see anywhere
yeah. My
else.
homies from the STP Foundation, Setting the Pace, Old Graffiti Crew Foundation, they run the walls. They're right there. So, but they're the ones to kind of maintain a lot of the activities there. But pretty much, you can go there in the weekend and just go paint there and do your thing.
How often are those walls painted over?
Dude, like honestly, like you'll be lucky if your shit's really fucking dope. Like it'll last maybe a week. You know what
No
I'm
way.
saying? But on the average, if you're just like an average dude, whatever you go, like you'll be lucky if it stays up for like an hour after you,
Really?
especially on the weekends. Yeah.
On the yeah, yeah. And people just they
Yeah,
want
because I mean, like I said, the walls aren't abundant as it used to be, and like it's Venice Beach. Everybody's, I mean, like Venice Beach probably gets like at least like even on a cloudy day, probably like 10,000 plus visitors a day. You know what I mean? Like
mm,
on the weekends, it's probably like fucking like hundreds of thousands or something.
yeah.
It's the second largest tourist attraction in California.
Really?
Yeah, next to Disneyland,
I didn't know
Venice
that.
Beach.
Whoa.
Yeah.
Damn.
So hence why I love like a lot of the like I said, you watch the news, so you see Venice in the headlines a lot with a lot of the homeless stuff,
Right.
issues whatever too. 'Cause a lot of times you got a lot of these gentrifier contingents of the neighborhood, like they have like their entitlement to the area,
Yeah.
and so they've been trying to change it too. But like I said, homeless is getting worse. But a lot of the gentrification, I say the homeless issues have been commensurate to the gentrification. So things got more bougie and gentrified is how much the homelessness issues started to increase. Cause like I said, a lot of times you'll see pictures where like you'll have like just like this encampment, boom, there'll be this fucking like brand new fucking mansion, boom, 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 whatever, like $3-4 million mansion, and there's like four people right there who are fucking just homeless and destitute.
Yeah.
Wasn't it like that? Those have always been homeless, more hobo style. You know what I mean? But not to that stark of a contrast. It's
Right. Right.
crazy.
Yeah. It's yeah. The last couple of years has definitely increased.
Yeah, I said definitely the last 4 or 5 years for sure. It got really, really bad.
There's also a big skating community there, right? Because there's a skate
Always, yeah.
park right there.
Dogtown, yeah, Dogtown originators right there. I mean, Tony Hawk, the pop rock, like everything like the main what people understand as like street skating now, like that started right there in that they call it Dogtown, which is really South Side of Monica, but people associate with Venice because it's all kind of like that same little kind of surfer suicidal community from back in the day. But essentially, just for all the trivia people out there, technically Dogtown is really South Side of Monica.
I see.
Yeah, but a lot of people call it Venice now because it's just like I said, it blends in right there. Anyway, surf skate culture.
Yeah.
But yeah, Tony Hawk, all them guys, Alva, all like the way the form and brand and style people know what skating right now, like that's we were the originators of that street style of it. Before it's kind of like just it wasn't as dope. We basically made it dope. So you're welcome. You're welcome.
You're welcome.
Yeah. Because I told you my uncle's from Suicidal Tendencies too, right? The OG, the band.
I don't think you told. No.
Oh, okay, yeah. So when he picked me up, he lives in the front
Okay.
of the house. So anyway, so yeah, it's my deal. So I mean, he was there. He helped write the play and write the first 3 albums. Yeah, Suicidal Tendencies. The first 3 albums.
Ah.
The first one was like regular. It was first one was self-titled album. Second one was think Welcome to the Army or going.
What's his name? What's your uncle's name?
Luigi Mayorga.
Nice.
Yeah, so he was a bass player, but he wrote a lot of the music and the lyrics for, like I said, almost all their major hits. He that their main from the first few albums, he wrote those shit. I mean, co-wrote them, whatever.
Co-wrote, yeah.
Yeah, so he has a band called Suicidal now, and but a lot of it kind of started because they weren't paying him his right royalties or whatever.
Sounds like the music industry.
Yeah.
From back in the day, for
And
sure.
so he started. But the thing is, he has credits and rights to those songs. So he started doing like his little tours or whatever, like little mid concerts, whatever, because he can sing the song because those are his songs, technically, legally, right? And so from there, he's like he got back into his music. He was into music, but he wasn't doing like the suicidal punk stuff so much. But he got back into that and has I think he has like 2 or 3 albums from that Suicidal now. So
That's cool.
it's good, but good. It's good. It's that OG like skaters, like punk style shit, like fucking yeah.
Yeah. What else about Venice? What else should I know about Venice?
Jeez, I mean, well, obviously it's on Tongva indigenous land as always. That dude, like it's like I said, a lot of people they don't think of black or brown people when they think of the West Side or Venice. They think like bougie ass, gentrifiers, which like I said, that's kind of like the way it's being homogenized right now. A lot of it is being very homogenized and it's gentrifying.
And Google has a complex there.
Yeah, Google, yeah, and then like there's a lot of little tech startups right there. Snapchat was there for a minute, but we kicked them out recently.
Oh, Snapchat was there? Huh, I didn't know that.
Causing havoc. Oh yeah, horrible, dude.
Oh.
Yeah, that was like an ordeal for a few years or something. They basically kind of made their whole fucking the whole boardwalk. They bought all these boardwalk properties, and they kind of made it their campus.
Okay.
You know what I'm saying? But like, first of all, people live there.
Yeah.
And the second of all, it's fucking Venice Beach, bro. Like like they try to do shit like post up security guards. Like I don't know if people are noticed like when you're walking down Venice Beach and there's like those little side streets, little sidewalks that you walk into the beach. And so like they had security guards post up, like acting like people couldn't walk there, which they did, but it's public sidewalk.
It's a public, yeah.
Yeah, but a lot of people don't know that, you know what I mean? So it's
What about
and we ran those fools out. So fuck Snapchat.
Fuck them twice. What about
Delete the app.
Yeah, delete that. What about food spots? You get the food spots in Venice?
Like it's so gentrified, bro. But like really, like, and me even with my introvert self, the only spot I really go to eat, like, it depends what I'm looking for. Like Mexican food, there's only one Mexican place, like legit, that's like OG. That's La Fiesta Brava.
Okay.
It's off of Hampton and Rose. So if you go down Rose before you get to Main Street, right in the corner across from where the Rose Cafe is at, or the Rose Restaurant, whatever they call it now, it's right there.
The Rose is interesting street.
Yeah. And so that's or I might go to that little spot Flake on Rose too. That's kind of like it's run by some old school Venice folks. You know what I mean? So it's kind of like a good balance between like some of the gentrified spots and these newer businesses. You know what I mean? It's like so kind of like it's still welcoming to locals, but it's still
What about the Abat Kenny? Abat Kenny, is that in Venice? Am I saying it right?
If I do, I don't know about it. If it's a newer spot,
it's a street.
Oh, Abbott Kinney.
Abbott Kinney.
Abbott Kinney, yeah.
What's up with that?
That's probably the most like bougie, like pretentious spot. Like it's the epitome of what's wrong with Venice. Like
Ah,
that's not like you want to go and be amused and it's not like there's like very few spots on there that are actually kind of like not so hipsterlandia, I guess you can say, But for the most part, it's just all that used to be old, black and brown businesses right there. You know what I mean? Now it's all like super. I said just pretentious, white gentrifier type business. Not even like. it's,
I'm sure rent
I,
there is
I, I only, I
expensive.
only, I only go down there to kind of see what's going on and kind of just check the crowd real quick. You know what I mean? And
Yeah, yeah,
show my face, let people know I'm around and shit.
yeah,
But
yeah, yeah.
but the pizza spot's still there, and that's a good spot to eat right there.
I've been to that pizza spot.
Yeah, Abbott's
We used
Pizza.
to. I used to go to the Venice
Not Abbott's Pizza.
Occupy.
I'm sorry. The other one.
They used to do Venice Occupy meetings across the
Okay.
street back in the day, and I attended a couple of the meetings when this whole Occupy movement started.
Yeah.
And yeah, we'll get some pizza after.
Oh yeah,
Yeah,
yeah, yeah, yeah. Right the corner. Yeah, because there was like a little restaurant, and then the pizza right next door. Yeah, the pizza still it's all right. It's cool, but
and so you have this website, the Sixth Sun Writers. What can you tell me about that?
oh, okay. So
Switching it up on you.
yeah, no, it's good too. I mean, there's so many stuff to talk about. You know what I mean? And you give me a topic, dog, I'm gonna go in deep on it. You know what I'm saying? So, but it's the so Six Sun Riders. That's a website I created back in like 2014. And like I had mentioned earlier, when I left that organization in 2009, like I learned a lot of stuff too. But like, and I felt like I just needed to like, I felt kind of like burdened in a sense, in a positive way. The fact I had all these teachings and all these things, like I said, like I've been successful at a lot of things that I've taken on, whether it's political stuff, indigenous stuff, whatever. I'm kind of, I break a lot of ground when I do stuff. That's just kind of been my pattern. And so I felt kind of like I need to share these teachings, for a couple of reasons. One, at the time, a lot of the Mexica, Mexican indigenous, type of stuff on the internet was very just, it was all Mexica movement oriented, which, no disrespect to them, but it was very kind of just, very kind of, very one dimensional, political, didn't really have no spiritual edge to it. And it didn't really do the true Mexica indigenous ways justice, in my opinion. There's a lot of good stuff that needed to be said, and they a lot of good ground that they covered. You know what I mean? But like it was a lot of it was very stagnant and kind of just not of good energy. The facts were good, but anyway, so that and also too because I realized when I was with that group and that network of people who were supporting that sexual predator, that a lot of it, they're one of the main ways that they were able to keep that in power is because they kept the teachings exclusive, which we need to protect them and be mindful of how we disseminate them to the public so people don't abuse and misuse our teachings. But so like they would use it as like kind of bait. So like people would come in, oh, they learn these certain things, and it's like, oh, but they feel like they can only get it there. So they felt like, a lot of times they would sacrifice their integrity, spiritual integrity, whatever, to be in this situation and do these things, because the teachings were there and they were longing for these teachings, and so that kind of put like I say kind of bait people in and allow an abusive relationship with the people who were running that situation, that network. So I also felt too if I could put all these good teachings in a good way out in public, one, it switches up a lot of the stagnant rhetoric that's out on the internet at the time, and still kind of is prevalent right now. And then two, it's good stuff, it's good teachings, and at the same time, it kind of I say devalue is the right word, but like it loses the people who are hoarding that knowledge. It kind of decentralizes them and kind of makes them a little obsolete because if they're available to a lot of people, it gives them less power to hold it over other people in exclusivity. So and that's maybe that started. And like I said, I like to express myself. I like to be creative. I was learning graphic design. I was learning web design. So like pulling, the more ways I can be creative, the better. And it's just it's been like my baby. I get I haven't really updated too much in terms of content. The last few years, but most have been doing updates like visual background coding updates. Stuff like that too. But it's that site. So it's like my baby. But one of the main reasons I did it too was like I wanted to like have a site that's had practical spirituality. Because one of the things I was seeing too was like, going back to we're talking about the four agreements, like basics, basic stuff. A lot of times you don't need this complicated whatever. If basic stuff will the basic stuff will carry you the way, you know. So I saw where like it's stuff that I was seeing was very hyper political and of just a not of good energy or whatever. You know what I mean? Politics, it's not always the best energy, but it was very strictly political or academic, overly academic, and not really spiritual. And on the other side, you had these like spiritualists, but they were like just so far out new age or whatever. Not to judge like new age movement, you know, completely, but to a point where like either people were super hyper political and academic, or they were like really like they're already in Mars. Uh, they're already kind of high say they were already astral projecting into the Pleiades, so to speak. You know what I mean? Like just like we're like, okay, the average person they're not going to stick to that. You know what I'm saying? They're like it's too extreme. So what's practical spiritual? What's practical teaching? What can people use indigenous teaching wise to use so they can absorb and understand and digest and use it right this very second. You know what I mean? Going to the four directions, going into the basic, some of the ethics, some of the values. Now I'm saying this basic stuff like that too, because it was like it wasn't being taught. Because one thing to it's one like I said, it's one thing to accumulate knowledge of the Mayas or the Aztecs, whatever too, but to how do you walk like an indigenous person? How do we heal ourselves? What are the ways that we heal? What are the ways that we, decolonize our mind, our body, our spirit, our diet, our calendar, our whole life, And so I said about, coming back to how I said before too, like how do we challenge this crazy society, this craziness that's going on? Like, it's by being our best selves, our most complete selves, and doing the best we can do. Cause it all starts with us, like a ripple. You know what I mean? There's like the teaching in there called the four circles, where basically, there's four circles, but in the middle is you, and then your family, and then your community and other communities. So basically, and then in that middle of that circle, that first circle, that's you. You got your mental, your physical, spiritual, emotional. All that needs to be in balance and healed, and as much as we can do it. You know what I mean? Because that emanates. We carry that vibration, that frequency, and we create that space, consciously or unconsciously for other people who are around us in the spaces that we go to. So, like I said, that's it's a very when you read it, like it's very simple stuff, little practice things, and of course, there's also like little blogs and other teachings, realizations that I had in my many years in the movement, the pros, the ups and downs, and I've been through a lot of stuff, even with that situation when I left that organization because of them protecting that sexual predator. I had a lot of falls with people, a lot of I got a lot of enemies for a while, and whatever, and so there's a lot of things I learned to protect myself as far as spiritually, psychologically, organizing wise, and just to kind of like all my pitfalls and mistakes that I made. I wanted to make sure, hey, you know what? I want to let my mistakes and my pains be others' blessings and teachings. So like trying to put that in like in a education teaching format as far as like kind of protocols on maybe indigenous organizing or how to go about learning and not getting discouraged and be mindful of people who are going to abuse those teaching and things like that. Just kind of just whatever I can teach, people who are reading and people in the movement, people are trying to rediscover themselves or, shake away their fake self for their, for their real self. I want, just to like a kind of like like a guidebook in a sense, or like a basic teachings book where they can just, go and learn. And, if they have any questions about stuff that they can go and they can refer to that site and, just kind of navigate the crazy world, but especially a lot of this indigenous activism, indigenous reclamation world. Cause, as we're healing, there's a lot of stuff to, even if it doesn't matter who you are, at the end of the day, we're all human, and some people, still do negative stuff. So we gotta be able to navigate that and make sure we're not losing good spirits back into the colonial paradigm, because that's where they go to when we fuck up and we don't take care of ourselves and do what we need to do. Yeah. So yeah, but I have a lot of content that I've been sitting on. I haven't put up. I've been trying to put up here and there, but I mean, also I still have there's like I said, it's good basic teachings out there right now, and
Yeah, we're also in a time right now where people feel like they need to constantly be putting out stuff,
yeah,
and sometimes it doesn't work like that.
yeah, consumption. Like I said, sometimes overproducing. When there's consumption, there's someone who has to create the product. You know what I mean? So a lot of times, it's but again, that comes with balance and meditation, stuff like that too, kind of understanding. Um, and also too, like a lot of that site too, like I have, just different like little teachings or things that I reflect on that I kind of feel like a lot of things that don't get said. There's a lot kind of very common like indigenous, like right now there's like just an abundance of like different indigenous TikTok pages, whatever. A lot of them are all good too, but a lot of them like there's love. To me, love. It's like 90%, 85% kind of just. I guess for me, I'm speaking because I've been around for a while. Like it's kind of just stuff I heard fucking 30 years ago. You know what I'm saying? 20 years ago, whatever it was. Which is cool. And some people don't know it. It's always good. But a lot of times, like I said, going back how we were saying about doing that self work, a lot of times we're pointing the finger at the colonizer, which of course, yeah, let's call out these things that are not good in society and that the colonizer do. But at the same time,
Yeah.
like we're not, like if we're not critiquing ourselves or our communities or our immediate organizations or whatever too, and like doing that decolonizing work and doing that self-healing work, whether you're a man or a woman or whatever, light skin, dark skin, whatever it doesn't, we all have our different little intersections that we deal with that others don't deal with. But um there's things that don't get said, and I try to kind of provoke those conversations and you know not just be so candy and superficial about just having the fist in the air and all that. That's cool, but at the same time, it's like we need open hands to create and give things too. So
Balance.
yeah,
Balance.
yeah,
I feel like we've been talking about that a lot.
yeah,
It's like self-reflection and balance.
yeah. Well, because
Yeah, you gotta look at history,
yeah,
right? And then yeah, you gotta see where you came from. But the point is that we're here now.
yeah,
And what can you do now for yourself and for your community
yeah,
and find that balance.
yeah. Which comes back down to taking care of yourself first and foremost. And yeah, so but in that side too, I've been trying to get, I've been real busy with a lot of these anti gentrification fights in Venice the last 4 or 5 years. I haven't really get the chance to really um I kind of put a lot of my indigenous I guess work with a 600 Writers website or just even the runs, kind of put them on the back burner in a sense. Like I'm always when I go out, I always stay indigenous centric no matter what I do, even when we're fighting for this black church. Uh,
You're also part of this neighborhood council as well, right?
Oh yeah, yeah.
So I mean, you were
Venice Neighborhood Council.
you
Yeah.
were out there. I feel like you might have been busy.
when? When?
The last couple of years.
Oh yeah, yeah, no, yeah, because the church was a big fight. 'Cause I said the Penske's had bought
Yeah.
it, whatever, too. So we were up against, he's a billionaire. You know what I'm saying? All the politicians were bought out. Neighborhood Council, Gentrification Network, they're already against us. Just in a business interest or whatever. And at the same time, because most white folks are just out there are very apathetic.
Yeah.
They're harmfully neutral on racial justice issues. The bulk of not all of them, but
Not all of them,
the bulk of them are in the vast. A lot of these new gentrifier ones. Anyway, so but yeah, but the church fight was really it took a lot, and
Hey, but regardless, man. I mean,
but we won we won in a sense, and we definitely like when you win against the odds and everybody was saying that we couldn't do it, you know what I mean, and we did it. That sends reverberations, and that's a lot of reason why I do the work I do is because like sometimes people need the example. And if I had the ability to do it and and make an example and inspire the people to do things, like that's the main goal. You know what I mean? Because to me, like I'm not out here trying to be a hero. And I'm saying I just happen to just open my mouth and shit happens. You know what I mean? Like, oh shit, okay, I said something and now I have an interview. Like, what the fuck? But point being, like, if I can get other people to do the work, then that's better. You know what I mean? That's what I want to do. I want a culture shift, a culture change for us and for others. You know what I mean?
Well, I could tell you from my experience, just from the ceremonies that you guys were holding back in the day, very inspirational, man.
Yeah.
I mean, at this point, like I send in the text, like you're an OG. You're an OG
Thanks.
in West LA. I mean, you're doing a lot of work. You've done a lot of work, and you're gonna continue to do it.
Yeah.
I mean, at this point, you have no choice, bro.
Yeah.
This is
Yeah.
your journey.
Yeah.
Regardless of what it is.
Too deep in the game. Yeah.
Yeah. Regardless of where you put your energy,
Yeah.
it seems like you're always gonna be up to something, whether it's spiritual or activism,
Yeah.
or some type of leadership or some type of organization.
Yeah.
You're always gonna do that, and we need people like you, bro.
And it's funny too, because like a lot of times, like I said, like I told people, like a lot of times, I try not to do it. Like I don't go out there with the goal that okay, I'm gonna try to do this. I'm gonna try that. Like it's once I'm in the mix, like okay, now I gotta show up. Okay, like I'm here, like this is gonna happen, so I need to show up and make sure I show up for it. You know what I mean? And so, because it's so ironic too, because even like a couple years ago, I was like, tell myself, okay, you know what, like I'm trying not to get involved. I'm trying not to do some more. Like it's ironic. The more I try not to do things and try not to get involved, the more like shit fucking blows up and like end up fucking like I'm in my mind, I'm saying, okay, this is what I want to do, and then the universe is like, nah, homie, nah, that wasn't in the contract,
Right.
The ancestors in the universe like, nah, homie, like
Yeah.
that's not what the contract says, we
Yeah.
put, you going, nah,
Yeah.
nah, you're going over here, bro, like,
They
you can try to go that way, but nah, like,
they laugh at your ego, thinking that you know
yeah,
what you're supposed to be doing. But
yeah, like, nah, you're
nah,
supposed to be over here, bro.
no, that's not your soul's journey, bro.
Yeah,
That's
yeah.
not your soul's
So I'm
journey.
trying to kind of just reconcile. It's like, okay, because like I said, like I'm very. A lot of people don't realize that I'm a very like. I could be extrovert. I'm an introvert with extrovert tendencies. You know what I mean? But
I get
I'm
that.
mostly introvert, and I don't like I don't like to go out and I like being social, but not. I go out and I come back in. I need to recharge and ground myself. But like people with all the shit that I do, people wouldn't think, okay, 'cause I'm always out there in the news or whatever. But I'm doing it because like one, people ain't saying the shit that needs to be said. And then two, like I know I have the ability to at least represent, even if I'm, talk a little fast or I mumble or whatever. Someone's out there, got to be said. Someone's gonna get the message. It's gonna get out there. My vibe's gonna be out there. Whatever. It's not about me. It's about the message and
That's funny because
the
typically people
principles.
don't pick up on those things. We pick it up on ourselves.
Yeah,
We
yeah,
like, oh, damn.
yeah,
We look back or we hear something like, yeah, the first time you hear yourself on a recorded audio or on a video, you're like, what the heck?
yeah,
But it's us. It's our
yeah,
insecurities, but other people don't even
yeah.
pick
But
up on it.
but I guess because I grew up with that too. Because growing up too, I used to stutter a lot when I was younger, and then even growing up too, I remember like, oh, like I know I mumble, I talk fast, I get really excited, and sometimes I lose track of like, enunciating certain words
Mm-hmm.
or what have you. But like growing up,
Same.
I had people make fun of, even teachers make fun of the way I talk,
Yeah.
because I mumbled or I was shy or I
Right.
stuttered or whatever. So like, speech, self consciousness with the speech. So,
I'm the same.
but I said, but
I
I
feel like a
still,
lot of people are like that.
and that's my thing though too. Is like I
But
try
it doesn't stop you.
exactly, it
Okay.
doesn't exactly, and that's one thing I try to tell these youngsters too. I do like little gigs at schools or
Yeah.
little classes. I tell them like, dude, like if my goofy ass stuttering ass can do this, dog, insecure, like you guys are a lot smoother and flyer than I am. You guys can, if you think I can do things good and I'm doing things good, like y'all are fucking like I know you guys can do better than I can.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? That's what gets me excited. Like, yeah, like I want to plant these seeds and like,
Yeah.
you know what I mean? Because I want y'all to run with that shit. I don't care about being in the limelight. Like, dude, like if y'all can fly, I want you guys to fly.
It's like a Tupac state of mind where he's like, I might not make the change, but I'm for sure gonna spark the mind that's gonna make the
Yeah,
change.
yeah,
And that's how we need to see each other.
yeah.
I was talking to Patty in the last episode, and Patty Rivas. She's a
Oh yeah.
meditation and sound healing
That's the one
facilitator.
your last guess.
That's the last guest, and she was talking about the importance of showing up.
Yeah. Oh yeah,
Because
yeah.
if you
I'd say,
don't
yeah,
show up, then how are we gonna inspire
yeah,
the next people?
yeah,
Because also the same way I told her in that episode, there's people that showed up and inspired us.
yeah, yeah,
And it's a ripple effect.
yeah. Because even like there's even looking back to like, and I bet you I want to write a book, but I'm so busy with shit, or and just write notes to kind of like, like I said, the more I can do to inspire people, and
Yeah.
you can touch
For
people.
sure.
But like looking at the things that inspire me too, like there's it's like it was small little things that people said that not until at a certain point in my life did it really kind of like collectively make an impact. Like like for instance, like my uncle, rest in peace, Uncle Ralphie, back in like when I was like 8 or 9, he was in college at the time, and he's the only person to go to college in our family at the time. And he's like, "Oh, did you know that your our people are the ones to only people to make the mathematical discovery of zero?" Whatever. Like, "Oh yeah," I'm like, I'm watching fucking the new cable box or whatever, trying to figure out what to watch, MTV or whatever. I'm like 10 years old there. And like, but like, but for some reason, something about stuck in my psyche. I always remember, like, okay,
Yeah.
like I don't know, for some reason it's just there, but it's stuck in my head, whatever, too. And then like little tidbits. You know what I mean? Like people would tell me certain things, like like in the moment, like, okay, yeah, you hear it, you feel it, like, okay, cool. And then it's like, you're young, whatever, your attention span it goes away, but it's
stuck.
it's stuck in there. And then like at some point, there's a certain point where you like, there's your real self that's always trying to come forward and burst forth. You know what I'm saying? And there's certain things that kind of feed it or kind of
Yeah.
keep it alive, so to speak. And then eventually, like at some point, there's a certain point where like if you get enough of that, it's gonna crack that domesticated false self that you've been programmed to be. You know what I mean? And your true spirit kind of overrides and gets you to that place. But of course, it takes the power of those words and the intention over time to do it. So, but we can, and that's just like me by happen chance. I mean, it's.
I mean, I'll tell you what, Mike. Like I told you in the beginning, that ceremony that I went to, the first one, it has been ingrained in my head ever since, you know.
Yeah.
And just the mindfulness that you guys were teaching, and the prayers, and just that it, it's hard to explain because it's also an energy of
Yeah.
being with those people
Yeah.
and being in that experience. And I mean,
Do you remember? Let me ask you too, because I'm trying to refresh my memory too, and just know since because obviously I've been through a lot of things, but like, but during that run, obviously, we stayed to the end. We ended at the Tongva Springs, the Kudafungna Springs,
Yeah.
and West LA too. So like, what are some things that you noticed as far as like, now I'm interviewing you now, um, from the beginning of that ceremony, like let's say from like your expectations, you know, and kind of like just rough judgments about it in the beginning versus at the very end, what you were seeing and feeling at that point, whether for yourself or that you were seeing with other people who were you're also running with? Like, what are some of during the process and from the beginning to the end
Yeah, when the
that stood out
beginning,
to
it
you?
was a whole new thing to me. I'd never experienced anything like that. So I was green, I was
Yeah,
observing, and I was soaking everything
yeah,
in. But by the end, it felt like family.
yeah.
It felt like community. It felt like the people, regardless of what they looked like, regardless of what our backgrounds were, I can tell you that we're all human and that we all have. That's what connects us.
Yeah.
Those emotions is what connects us, and everybody was expressing themselves, and how they felt, and their hardships or their inspirations, and all those
Hmm.
things. Hearing people say those things like, "Wait, I have those similar things,"
Yeah,
and it took courage to speak to in front of
yeah.
a group, and so then I walked out of there feeling, I'm telling you, I felt different in regards of like I felt community, I felt like family, I felt like there's friendship, I felt that there's prayer, like the importance of prayer and the significance of carrying a staff with um, hawk and eagle feathers, and feeling like I'm doing something my ancestors were doing as well.
Yeah,
All these things were like at the end, that's how I felt, and I felt like, whoa, we need to do this again, we need to
yeah,
keep this going.
yeah,
In the beginning, I didn't really know what I was getting
yeah.
myself into, but knowing, like, when you are awake before the sun comes up, your frequency in your mind and within the atmosphere, like everything's different.
Hmm.
So you're in a whole different state of mind, and then
Yeah.
somebody's singing and somebody's drumming, and then there's these elders speaking, and I've never been exposed to any
Yeah.
of these things. So it's like, that's what I'm telling you, it's very
Wait,
impactful.
that year that you were there, no,
Yeah.
you came for one or two.
What's that?
How many runs did you come to? You come to one or
I
two?
think I went to two.
Okay.
2 years.
Do
Yeah.
you remember? Do you remember the one? Okay, we always started in Bundle Wetlands, but I think 1 or 2 years we started behind those new condos.
Nah,
But
never.
but the normal spot that we talk about as far as the Jefferson Lincoln, like I don't know if you were there the year when all those, because know how we formed the circle,
Mhm.
and when the ducks came out and the ducks came in the circle with us.
No, I wasn't there.
Oh, okay, okay.
That sounds dope.
Yeah, no, because we're there. It's like for people who don't know, it's like the lagoon right there,
Yeah.
the marshlands or whatever too. And you got because when we're doing our ceremonies, like the ducks are waking up, all the animals right there are waking up too.
And that's a big spot for ducks that migrate. That's a
Yeah,
big.
geese.
Yep.
Yeah, geese were flying over too, and and all that too. And like I said, we all normally we did it in March.
Yeah.
March
Yeah.
was a normal day, time we did it. And so, but yeah, we had circle like the ducks, like that. Then they're right there, just kind of hanging out in the circle, like they're
Yeah.
like
You got
they
the
probably want to get fed or something, but
Right.
but
right, but that's duck
but still,
medicine.
it's still the relative, the spirit energy of the space.
Exactly.
You know what I mean?
Exactly.
But yeah, sorry.
Is there anything else you want to say before we close this out?
Um,
Any message or any last closing statements?
no, I mean we talked about the Four Corners run a little bit. We talked about 600 Riders, what's associated. A little bit about Venice too, but for those, yeah, it's just stay tuned, with what I'm doing. I've been kind of in a little, kind of a slow, kind of not. I won't say I'm never in a hiatus. I'm always active, even when I'm not active, if that makes sense. But as far as some of my projects, I've been a little slow. But they can go to my website, Bravo for Venice.com.
And then,
Or they can have, because I have a lot of different websites. Bravo for Venice.
your Instagram too connects you to everything.
Yeah,
right?
if you go to my
That's
Instagram, OG Bravo One, that's OG Bravo and then the number one. That's my handle on Twitter and
Yeah.
Instagram. And I have my, my link tree with all my, my site links. I do a lot. I said work in Venice, indigenous stuff, and
Yeah.
indigenous education work. So yeah, just stay in touch, and I'm here to help, and if you want to help too, I could use that too.
Yeah, thank you, sir.
Yeah, for
Appreciate
sure.
you coming here and agreeing to do this and just sharing your journey. Like I said, I don't know if I've said it enough, but the stuff that you've done is important.
Thank you. Yeah,
Please keep doing
I
it, sir.
appreciate it, man. Thank you.
Thank
Thank
you.
you. Thank you for the time and the space, man.
Yes, sir.
All right, for sure.
Thanks, man. Peace.